We begin our story with Naruto running away as tears would be flooding from his eyes and a bunch of people pointing at the young boy as he would finally enter his house, slamming the door where he would instantly just fall over and start bawling his eyes. The memories of everybody teasing and making fun of him and calling him a loser, not quite leaving the boy. In fact, he actually left school early, with Iruka yelling out, "Naruto, Naruto, you can't!" But he was gone, and now he was simply sitting in his room. What do they know, Naruto would think, as he attempts to wipe the tears off his face. In this moment, Naruto would start remembering everything that had just taken place, him and Sasuke being paired up against each other, and how Naruto, in a fleeting attempt to impress his crush Sakura, had tried to also recreate the fire-style jutsu, after knowing that Sasuke was one of the few people who was capable of using jutsus at the young age of 7. So as the two boys would be sparring and Sasuke would clearly be getting the better of Naruto, after Naruto would be thrown onto the ground, he would get up looking at everybody cheering on Sasuke. And in this moment, he would say, "You know, Sasuke, you're not the only one who can use jutsus," weaving a bunch of pathetic hand signs before going, "Fire style, fireball," but nothing but straight up air comes out. He just goes, like he pours it out like that, and nothing comes out, not even like a little spark of flame. So everybody just starts dying, making fun of Naruto, as he's like, "What? How come it didn't work? It was supposed to," but he would simply stare at Sasuke, who would not even be making fun of him, just giving him a look of like, "Bro, are you for real?" As, you know, everybody just laughs at him, and Naruto would now have ran home. So now we jump to the present, and it'd be in this moment that as the memories of that would hit Naruto, he would suddenly zoom into one person who was laughing maybe the hardest, Sakura, his own crush. She would have been making fun of him and even made a horrible comment about how he'll never stack up to somebody as handsome as Sasuke. Him hearing that, he could practically feel his heart breaking, as Naruto grabbing at a mirror that he was staring at himself in, he would wonder why he couldn't have been born different, as he slams the mirror on the ground and then suddenly looks at his own reflection through this broken mirror. It's in this moment that as Naruto would stare, tears falling onto the broken glass, Naruto would suddenly see his reflection, but on his right side he would see the face of a dragon. This would terrify Naruto, as he would jump back, and suddenly Naruto could hear a voice asking him, "Why are you so sad?" And by the way, I was gonna originally try to do the Igneo voice, but those very raspy ones just, man, they take it out of me, so I'm not gonna do that one. Anyways, like I was saying, Igneo would ask Naruto why he's so sad. And it's at this point that Naruto, hearing this voice, would start freaking out, going, "Where's that coming from?" With him looking back at the mirror, but seeing nothing. At this moment, the voice would ask once again, "Why are you so sad?" And at this, Naruto would reply, "Because I'm a weakling and a failure, and I can't do anything right. I couldn't even do a jutsu that Sasuke could do easily, and everyone made fun of me. But, you know, they're right. They're right about me. I am a loser," Naruto would say, as Igneo would simply stay quiet, thinking about the past, remembering Natsu, and saying that Naruto is none of those things, telling Naruto that if he wants to be strong, then he needs to act strong. And at Naruto hearing that voice, he would once again say, "But who are you? Where are you talking from?" Naruto would suddenly start lifting up his bed sheets, looking under the bed, and just scouring his entire apartment. And when Naruto finally gives up hope and that voice had stopped speaking to him, Naruto could suddenly feel himself being transported to a different dimension. It was as though he was asleep but awake at the same time, and Naruto would find himself inside of a mindscape. Now, unlike the one that we see in the original, which is a cage with pea water, I think, on the ground, instead, we actually see a cave, and one that's filled with lava and flames, with a dragon inside. Naruto, at seeing this, would freak out, and I can't stress that enough. He genuinely goes nuts, asking what's going on, as suddenly a roaring voice would echo, the same one that Naruto had heard in his mind, telling Naruto that his name was Igneo, and he is the king of the dragons. At hearing this, Naruto would be confused. King of the dragons? Those actually exist? But at this, Igneo would laugh, saying that in this dimension, they don't. But where he's from, they did. And they were bountiful. They were the strongest creatures in the entire land, and nobody could contest the strength of dragons. That is, until one day, the humans learned of magic capable of rivaling their own strength, and that's when everything changed. But that's not for him to know. At this, Igneo would go on to tell Naruto that he's sure he has a couple of questions, mainly why is he here, going on to explain to Naruto that the reason won't make any sense, but he'll tell him anyway. He would go on to inform Naruto, aiming his claw towards him, pointing at him, and telling him that he is the reincarnation of Natsus Reincarnation. And with Naruto hearing that, he would repeat the name in classic anime fashion, being like, Natsus Reincarnation? At this, Igneo would instantly reply, the reincarnation of an incredible wizard, one who I considered my own flesh and blood. He would go on to tell him that obviously being the reincarnation, that means that Natsu's time had ended, and when that happened, so did his, because in a way the two were merged. So, having a new beginning, when Igneo felt his essence once again spark to life, he wondered what was happening, and in that moment, he could see nothing but chaos and destruction. A massive fox had started to destroy this place where the young Naruto had been born, and with Igneo recognizing that he was once again inside of the body of a living being, he understood exactly what was going on, or more so, piece the puzzle together. At this, Naruto would question what he's talking about, asking why he's bringing up the Nine Tails attack, saying that that demon was scary. At this, Igneo would laugh, going on a cackle throughout the cave, telling Naruto that that thing was just a glorified clump of energy, and that he is the real thing. As he would go on to pretty much tell Naruto that if he wants to know just how strong he is in comparison to even that fox, to just watch this, as suddenly flashbacks of a previous life would flood Naruto's head. Not fully, since that would definitely mess up a little kid, but he would see glimpses of people, smiles, laughs, boos, cheers, and a girl by the name of Lucy, whose smile just seemed to put him at ease. At seeing all of these things, Naruto suddenly then remembers an old man, and he would think, Cramps. As out of nowhere, the memory flashes would finally end, and Naruto would sit there once more, asking Igneo if he really lived another life before this, and Igneo would tell him that he did, before going on to explain that even though he did, that doesn't mean he needs to hold on to the past, going on to explain to Naruto that he was here because he wanted him to have a fresh start, new beginnings, one where his life wasn't dominated by dragons or searching for something that he had difficulty finding. He wanted him to finally have his own story. And it's in this moment that Naruto, looking up at this dragon, would ask if Igneo was planning to leave after this, to which the dragon, staring at the young boy and looking into his eyes that were begging him to not depart from him, would nod, telling him that he wasn't, that at first he had planned to never interfere past that day, but seeing how the boy's childhood has turned out, he thinks that maybe being lonely might be a fate worse than having a dragon as a friend. And so, looking at the young boy, he would tell him that he's not going anywhere, to which Naruto would once again question what day he was talking about, and at this, Igneo would show him a flashback of the night of the Nine Tails attack. How, in a moment of desperation, Minato and Kushina threw away their lives to save their only newborn child, and suddenly, an ethereal burst of flames emerged from the body of Naruto, shooting up into the giant kaiju-like form of a dragon, before it would completely envelop the Nine Tails and the surrounding area in nothing but flames, with the only survivor being Naruto. It's in this moment that Naruto, seeing that flashback, would recognize the man with blonde hair, and seeing the woman with beautiful red hair would ask, Those are my parents, right? Tears pouring out of his eyes, he would ask again, were those my parents? To which Igneo would nod, telling him that his father was a great man, going on to explain to him that for a brief moment, he did have a conversation with his father, who in the moment of his death, simply smiled, thanking him for helping Naruto, before then being pulverized by the flames that not only consumed a massive section of the village, but the Nine Tails itself. And at hearing the story of how his parents had died bravely trying to protect him, Naruto would feel tears pouring down his face as he realizes that they did love him, because no parent would simply throw their lives away for a baby they didn't care about. All Naruto's lives, Naruto thought that his parents didn't care about him and simply abandoned him. That must have been why Hiruzen never told him, but now that he knows this, a smile would form on the boy's face as he would wipe away those tears that began to flood, and he would stare up at Igneo, thanking him for telling him the truth. Before then, the realization would hit him. Wait, that means that the fourth, he's actually my dad. As we see Igneo nodding, signaling to Naruto that, yeah, he's right. After this, Naruto would ask, so why did nobody ever tell me that he was my dad? It's not like that would have changed anything, right? It would have been nice knowing that I had a dad. With us watching as Igneo with a saddened expression simply goes on to tell Naruto that he probably didn't think Naruto was ready to be told that, as we see the young boy go into a state of silence, not saying anything for a while, until eventually with a smile Naruto says that now that he knows that he's the son of a Hokage, he just has to get stronger. He can't disappoint his dad after all. So looking to Igneo, he says, I want you to train me, just like you did for Natsu. Please, Igneo, make me strong enough to become a Hokage. With Igneo looking to Naruto, smiling before telling him that if he knows what he's asking, then he'll do it. At this, Naruto nods, saying that he agrees and he's well aware of what he's signing up for. After all, even though he didn't get to see everything that happened in his past life, he did get to see some of the struggles, and he knows how hard he'll train. But even knowing that the training would have been 100 times harder than what he saw, he still would have accepted, because he has to make proud on his family name. He's a Namikaze, the son of the fourth Hokage, the man responsible for saving the village, he would say. And as Igneo would hear that, he would smile, knowing that this young boy does remind him so much of Natsu. So after this would happen, the boy and Igneo would begin their training, and Naruto would start learning the basics of Dragon Slayer magic, becoming a little Natsu. He would begin to learn how to use basic fire attacks, but he would not be that strong yet, since if some of you guys have seen Fairy Tail, pretty much he's able to use fire attacks, but those fire attacks are very low leveled, so he feels like a genin. He's not going to be some busted character, at least not yet, because remember, the dude is 7 years old. Anyways, with that being said, as time would pass, Naruto would find himself getting stronger and stronger, and eventually, with a few months passing, Naruto would once again find himself with a golden opportunity. He would match up against Sasuke. So, Naruto, determined as ever to show everybody just how much he's improved, even in that short time with Igneo that he's trained every single day, Naruto would be confident, staring at Sasuke with a new light and a new vigor incorporated in his eyes. As this would happen, and the teacher would say, Hajime, Naruto instantly starts everything off with a Fire Dragon Iron Fist, which Sasuke quickly dodges before kicking Naruto in the stomach, causing a little bit of flames to come out in a cough. At this, Naruto would cry out, you know, Sasuke, you're not the only one who can use fire attacks. Fire Dragon, roar, Naruto would say, as a little puff of, fire would come out, not even half comparable to the one that Sasuke uses for his fire style. And as that would come out, Naruto would feel a bit embarrassed, but people would be like, whoa, he can use fire jutsus? With Iruka even being impressed, whoa, Naruto, I had no idea he got that strong. So as Naruto would continue the flames and his fists and legs would be covered with fire, for some weird reason, and it wouldn't be burning him, everybody would watch on as Naruto would attempt to land strike after strike on Sasuke, but due to Sasuke's superior training in taijutsu, he would be able to evade and dodge all of those attacks, eventually pissing Sasuke off at the fact that Naruto, with these flames active, is actually a bit of a challenge. This would have set the young Uchiha boy, who would have noticed that his father Fugaku was actually watching, and so, wanting to impress his father with a jutsu that he had been working on to make even more potent, Sasuke would weave the hand signs for a fire style, Fugaku watching intently to see what the boy would do. And as the blast of flames would get closer and closer to Naruto, Naruto could almost feel time stop, a voice ringing in his head telling Naruto that he knows he's scared, but he needs to use his training. Eat those flames, consume them, and add them to your own strength. But as Naruto can watch the flames get closer, he just says, I can't, Igneo. I haven't been able to eat flames this whole time. And then suddenly, as the flames would get closer and closer, Igneo would yell out in his mind, "Do it, Naruto!" As Naruto would brace himself, and with one fell swoop, Naruto would go as he would consume the entirety of the flames, falling down to the ground in that iconic Natsu stance, saying, "Now I've got a fire in my belly." But as Naruto would be about to get ready to start, and his flames in his hands and feet would grow 2 times more powerful, this is when suddenly Fugaku would intervene, saying, "That's enough, wouldn't you agree, Iruka?" To which Iruka, noticing that Sasuke's father was around, the leader of the Uchiha police force, would say, "You're absolutely right, sir," as he would say, "The battle ends here." And with that being said, with that being, kind of like the last class of the day, he would take Sasuke under his wing as he turns back to see Naruto, impressed at the fact that Naruto was capable of performing something like that. He had never expected a jutsu to do that, and even less than that, he had never expected that an academy student would be capable of such a feat. He would praise Naruto in his mind as he would walk off with Sasuke staring back at Naruto, furrowing his brow as he thinks about the fact that his dad's looking over there. "What are you even noticing?" Sasuke would think. But at this, as Naruto would be left there with the rest of the class, everybody would be staring at him in a bit of a different light, and this would make Naruto so happy because the looks that usually were filled with ridicule and hate or disdain were now being replaced with looks of admiration and just shock of just like, "Whoa, I can't believe he did that." So as everybody would go over to Naruto being like, "Dude, you're so cool, like we can't believe that you were able to pull something like that off," this would just stoke a fire within Naruto. See what I did there? But yeah, no, with that being said, Naruto now would finally find his life in the classroom beginning to change. And with people slowly starting to take note of Naruto's incredible skill when it comes to fire jutsu, people would cling to Naruto like the plague and would actually lead to Naruto having a lot of friends over the years. So with that said, we're kind of just going to be skipping all the way to the day that Naruto would find himself at the graduation post. And so as Iruka would enter the classroom and he would begin presenting the names that are all going to be on a team, he would then say, "Before this, I do want to let you guys know who the Rookie of the Year is." And as Iruka would look up at the paper, he would smile, turning to the direction of both Naruto and Sasuke, as he would tell the class that this year has been incredible. They have had 2 insanely talented shinobi in their ranks, and because of that, it was very difficult to choose who should be passing as the Rookie of the Year. But ultimately, they're going to give it to Naruto. And the moment that Naruto would hear that, he would leap out of his seat going, "I did it! I'm the Rookie of the Year!" As he gets up, goes over towards Iruka and accepts this little piece of paper that signals him as like the Rookie of the Year. It's kind of like getting the Student of the Month or Student of the Year kind of award for him right now, and he just can't contain his excitement. As he's thinking this, Igneo would say, "Of course you've become the Rookie of the Year. You've trained harder than anybody in this entire classroom, and you've made leaps and strides when it comes to your Fire Dragon Slayer magic." And so with Naruto hearing that, he would laugh, thinking to himself that he's so happy that Igneo is a part of his life because without him, well, none of this would have been possible. However, this is when suddenly Sakura would interrupt everything, going, "What? You mean to tell me Naruto became the Rookie of the Year over Sasuke? Sasuke deserves it more. He's smarter out of both of them, and just because Naruto can use fire jutsu doesn't mean he should be the Rookie of the Year." A couple of other Sasuke fangirls and people who think Sasuke's better than Naruto would stand up going, "Yeah, Sasuke's better than Naruto. He deserves the Rookie of the Year." And then the other half of the classroom that is pro Naruto would be like, "No way! Have you guys seen the stuff that Naruto can do with his fire jutsus? It's incredible. He doesn't even have to weave a single hand sign." So the classroom would be completely divided, and Naruto sitting there just watching the entire class turn to chaos would not care, simply just smiling, celebrating regardless of the world around him. And so a few minutes after this, Iruka would finally calm the students down as he would go on to assign them on their new teams. The teams would be just as they would be in the original, which means that Naruto, Sakura, and Sasuke would all be stuck with each other. And when everybody else would leave and those 3 would be the only ones there, Sakura would say, "Sasuke, I can't believe he won Rookie of the Year. You should have won it. Not only are you stronger than Naruto, but you're way better looking." Blushing as she would say that, as Sasuke would look at her and say, "You're annoying. If Naruto won the Rookie of the Year, then he won it. Now drop it already." As Naruto would look to Sasuke and would walk over towards him, extending his hand, saying, "No hard feelings, right, Sasuke?" But Sasuke would simply stare at Naruto's hand, saying to get that thing away from him, with Naruto getting one of those like classic iconic anime veins on his forehead and going, "What do you mean get that thing away from me? I'm trying to be nice here and all you've ever done is be a brick. Don't you have any idea how to show any common decency, huh, Sasuke?" But at this, Sasuke would simply ignore him, with Naruto getting even more heated and getting in Sasuke's face. At this, Sasuke would not be able to hold back any further, and the two would start getting into a bit of a brawl. Naruto and Sasuke getting ready to fight, that is, until suddenly Kakashi Sensei would enter the room, simply thinking to himself that it's not like he's going to be bored when it comes to raising these little shinobi. He would go on to order them to make their way to the rooftop, and once there is when everybody would be told about the introductions. After this would take place, they would all go on to say a little bit about themselves, and Naruto would go on to say that he wants to become the Hokage. At this, Sakura would say, just because you won the Rookie of the Year doesn't give you the right to try and act all high and mighty and say you could become the Hokage. It takes more than just fire jutsus to become a Hokage. It takes a little bit of everything, you know? To which Naruto would simply roll his eyes, thinking to himself that she is so freaking annoying. Man, he hates Sakura. He can't believe he ever once thought of her as something even half remote pretty. But anyways, with that being said, and the rest of everybody giving their introductions, Kakashi would go on to tell them to meet him at the training grounds the next day. At hearing this, Naruto would stand up, jumping off as he makes his way towards Ichiraku, thinking to himself, "Hey Ignil, it's about time we went to celebrate, don't you think?" And so the two of them making their way to Ichiraku would get like 6 bowls, pretty much depleting Naruto of all of his allowance for the week. However, Naruto in this moment was now counting on becoming a shinobi to be his means of making food. Plus he has rations for 4 days, so he'll be fine, he would hope, fingers crossed. Anyways though, with that said, the very next day as Naruto would make his way towards the bell test, he would arrive a bit late, noticing that their sensei wasn't even there. And so, at noticing that he's Naruto, I was gonna say Zuko, but no, Naruto would fist bump going, "Yeah, he's not here. Looks like I won't be getting in trouble." But it's at this moment that Kakashi arriving behind him would say, "And why would you think you won't be getting in trouble?" To which Naruto, looking behind him, terrified at Kakashi, would be like, "What? Where did you?" But Kakashi would simply tell him to sit down and listen up. At this, he would go on to expose the rules of the bell test, and Naruto wanted to show just how strong he's gotten and the difference between his abilities and Sasuke's. He would want to go after Kakashi in a one-on-one battle. So the moment that their sensei would say 3, 2, 1, begin, Naruto would lunge off towards the direction of Kakashi, reeling his fist back and going, "Fire Dragon Iron Fist!" However, the blow wouldn't connect with Kakashi since he would simply parry the blow, realizing that that thing had a lot of force behind it because the wind pressure that came from that blow would stun Kakashi. He would think that though Naruto is strong, if his attacks don't land, they won't really mean anything. So Naruto, using his hands and the ground to his advantage, would then try to throw a fire dragon talon towards the direction of Kakashi, which, in case you didn't know, is pretty much just a kick where he swings his leg up. At this point, Naruto, noticing that none of his attacks are landing, would start to get more and more annoyed. As if I had to compare it to anything in Fairy Tail, just imagine Gildarts versus Naruto, where though Natsu might try his best, it just doesn't work on Gildarts. And this is kind of the situation that Naruto finds himself in now, because, well, yeah, the attack packs damage, it's just not hitting. And so, with Naruto struggling more and more, Kakashi eventually grabs the boy in an arm lock, bending his arms backwards, asking him what his plan is now. Naruto with this would start reeling, going, "Let me go, damn it!" As he eventually, through gritted teeth, would simply blow in, going, "Fire Dragon! Roar!" shooting it straight at the ground, causing the entire area surrounding them to be burned up ablaze. This would lead Kakashi to have to let Naruto go, seeing as he's the one with the resistance to flames. And so, as Naruto would be stuck in that, his eyes would slightly start glowing red. Naruto would tell Kakashi that he'll get him. He swears it. As he would then rush off towards the direction of his other teammates, finally having realized that alone, he's nothing, but maybe, just maybe together, they might be able to get the jump on him. And so, making his way towards the direction of Sasuke and Sakura, using his keen sense of smell, Naruto would appear behind them going, "Look, I've tested it out, he is way too strong, but if the 3 of us can all attack him at the same time, then there might just..." But Sasuke would cut him off, telling him that he doesn't need to help, and that he needs to watch, that this is how a real shinobi handles it. And lunging in, Sasuke would attack with a brunt of taijutsu attacks and a fire-style fireball, which would instantly be blocked by Kakashi Kakashi using a mud wall jutsu. At Sasuke being defeated by Kakashi, Naruto would begin gloating, going, so that's how a pro does it? Until eventually he gets hit with the headhunter jutsu and being stuck in the ground like a little freaking carrot. The dude is just like, are you kidding me? As we then see Sakura being the only one not to be captured, and we inevitably get that one scene with the food. This ultimately leads to a section of the story in which Naruto's stomach growls. Sasuke, after realizing, yeah, I can't beat this guy alone, pretty much ends up telling Sakura to feed Naruto. And the moment that this would happen, Kakashi would arrive telling them, you passed, explaining the rules of the bell test and how all they needed was teamwork. As Naruto would cut him off, saying that's fine and all, but they haven't passed the test. They would like one more crack at it. Sasuke, agreeing and cracking his own neck, would say that they're ready for this. Pass or no pass, they can't wait to try to go at this again. And so, as the two of them, now fully invigorated by the food and little pep talk they gave themselves, they would once again attempt to capture the bells. With this, the two boys would look towards each other before running towards the direction of Kakashi, sort of understanding how the other fights since they have gone at it for so many years. And in a strange moment of perfect synchronization, the two lunging towards Kakashi would then use each other to propel themselves up into the air, as Naruto would kick up Sasuke, who, charging up a fire-style fireball jutsu down at the ground to where Kakashi was standing, he would watch on as Naruto would latch on to Kakashi, who would substitute out of the way, Naruto not even noticing. And as the fireball would get closer and closer, Kakashi would be stunned, realizing Naruto was truly willing to put everything on the line. And as he looks forth, he could see that Naruto was still holding on to him, shocked at the fact that he hadn't let go. And with the fire getting closer and closer, he would wonder if he should save him. However, that's when Naruto would go consuming all of the flames and saying, now I got a fire in my belly, as he would begin to yell out, Sasuke, he's to your left. And with Kakashi realizing that Naruto would track them even though he was fully hiding his presence, he'd be stunned. How did he see me? But unknown to him, Naruto has a very keen sense of smell, since after all, he is part dragon. So with that said, Sasuke, creating a clone jutsu, would send it in towards the direction of Kakashi, attempting to distract him long enough for Naruto to land his attack. And as Naruto would do exactly that, Naruto would breathe in before going, fire dragon, roar! And a massive beam of flames would be sent towards the direction of Kakashi. Nothing too crazy, I know I said massive, but like massive relative to, Naruto's age right now. So with these flames consuming a large section of the forest, Naruto would watch on as he's like, we got him! However, Kakashi, appearing right behind Naruto, would say, no, you didn't. But it was a good try, Naruto. A little bit of his hair caught on fire as he would, kind of touch it, tapping the flames off, with Sasuke and Naruto both just kind of staring at Kakashi, being like, how did he dodge that? And even Sasuke would be stunned, going, when did Naruto's firepower get that strong? Sasuke would get pissed, but in the background, Sakura, still not having given up on getting the bells, would use this, really pathetic shuriken jutsu attempting to hit Kakashi, which Kakashi would catch all three of them with his finger, saying that they passed and that their show of teamwork today was incredible, going on to give them pointers and also tell them that they managed to do something that's not done often, and that is impress him. He would tell them how he expects them to be an incredible duo, and how those two work together almost perfectly. At this, the two boys would stare at each other in disgust before looking away, saying that they'll never be working together the way that he says. That was a one-time thing. As after this, we would then jump cut to a 2-week break where the two of them have D-rank missions, and we would see Naruto training even harder than before, working on his breath attack so that it could be far more powerful and way quicker. That way the next time that he has to face off against somebody powerful like Kakashi Sensei, he could try to one-shot them. And so we watch on as Naruto would appear at a training ground, working on his Fire Slayer magic and shooting beams of flames into the air that would actually cause the temperature in the village to rise a few degrees every single time that Naruto would shoot these. These would be visible from every part of the village, and Sasuke, knowing who's the person who created those things, would be more motivated to train himself, realizing that if Naruto's going to be training, then he's going to be training. And from the moment that those beams shoot up into the air to the moment that they stop, Sasuke and Naruto would both be training as hard as possible, giving their all, until eventually they would both be given the mission of the Land of the Waves mission. And with the introduction of Tazuna to the story, We would now watch on as Naruto would begin packing for his mission, getting everything ready as he would make his way towards the village gate, ready to make his way out of this place for the first time in forever, since the last time he was out of the village gate, he was actually a baby and only remembered because of Igneal. And as Naruto would make his way there, he would be getting the usual glares and stares he's used to, smiling through it all, acting as though it didn't bother him, until eventually, Naruto notices a small child playing who had his ball roll up to him. Naruto would pick it up, greeting the kid, telling him here you go, as the parent would lunge towards their kid going, get away from him, that demon could kill you. And as Naruto would hear that and see the little kid's eyes go from happy to see him to scared, he would just give the boy the ball back before walking away, remembering what had been told to him by Igneal so many years ago, that the entire village hates him due to the fact that they believe that there's a nine-tailed demon fox inside of him. However, the real truth is that Naruto has something far more terrifying than that. So with Naruto getting his bearings together once again, he would walk on forth with a smile once more, remembering the words from Igneal of so long ago that the strong act strong. So with Naruto making his way to the gate and greeting his partners, he would say, come on, let's get going on our first adventure. And so, as they would make their way through it, Naruto would be giddy, so excited to encounter his first fight, having been training so hard this entire time. He just can't wait to kick some bandit butt. That would be when suddenly Naruto would sniff two onlookers nearby. And with Naruto not noticing the Genjutsu, however, knowing that there's two people nearby, he would say, wait, I think... As out of nowhere, the demon brothers would lunge out and Naruto would say, there they are, Sasuke! But Sasuke would say, don't order me around, as the two boys simultaneously shooting flame attacks towards them would burn and char the demon brothers, leaving them fully unconscious by trees, with Naruto and Sasuke both smirking. At this, Kakashi would be impressed, ruffling up the hair of both boys, telling them that what they've accomplished today is not a small feat, and that the results that they provided right now is something more akin to an actual Chunin. As he would think to himself that maybe, just maybe, these kids might be ready for the Chunin exams by the time they get back. And so, with the team continuing on their walk, this is when they would eventually encounter the Demon of the Mist, Zabuza Momochi. So as Naruto would watch a sword swing on by him before a man would land on it, Naruto, eager to take down his second opponent, he would lunge towards him, wanting to show the fruits of his training, as Naruto would use a breath attack, destroying the entirety of the area and clearing the entirety of the Mistjutsu Zabuza used in that section. At this, Zabuza would be stunned, noting that had he been hit by that attack by this genin, he would have surely died, or at least come close to that. And with Zabuza realizing that this boy is a danger, he immediately appears right behind Naruto, Naruto being too slow to react, seeing as his speed was honestly one of the main things he was lacking, and he would feel a knife begin to be pressing up on his neck. Naruto, recognizing that he's an idiot and he put himself in harm's way, would now be in the grasp of Zabuza, who would threaten to kill the boy unless they would hand over the bridge builder. And Kakashi, now being stuck with this dilemma of protecting the son of his own master or a bridge builder that he had just met for the sake of the mission, he would look towards Tazuna, with Tazuna saying, no, I'm paying you for this. You can't just hand me over to this maniac. But Kakashi, looking towards him, not saying anything, and grabbing him by the arms, would about to, pretty much hand him over towards Zabuza. However, this is when Naruto, fighting back, would cause Zabuza to be like, why you brat? And then try to pierce him through his neck, just thinking that he'll just take another hostage. He would begin to apply force at Naruto's neck. However, the more force he applied, the quicker he realized that this kid is not human, recognizing that his blade barely even managed to dink at the boy's neck. What is he? He would think, as Naruto would smirk, saying, it's called dragon skin, before going roar right at the ground, causing a massive attack to land, so Zabuza had to let go. At this, Zabuza, lunging up into the air, would then be sent flying away by Kakashi, as the two ninjas would once again embark on their 1v1, Kakashi eventually coming out on top, leaving Zabuza completely unconscious. And with this happening, Naruto would look towards the body of Zabuza, asking what they're gonna do with it now. Are they going to bury him or finish him off or extract information? What are they going to do to him? Kakashi would look towards Naruto, telling him that for now, they're going to restrain him and capture him alive. However, it's at this moment that a ninja would appear wearing an Anbu mask with a headband on the mist on it. Seeing this, Naruto would be shocked, but for all the wrong reasons, because the moment that Haku arrived, he could smell something strange. The scent of Zabuza was reeking, coming off of him. So Naruto stepping forth would say, "What do you think? I was born yesterday? I'm not gonna let you take his body." So Naruto, pretty much beginning to conjure up a fire dragon wing attack on him, would watch on as Haku would say very perceptive, before shooting like an ice geyser type attack at Naruto, which obviously we didn't see Haku use in the original story, but I really want him to be able to like up his ice power. So for this story in particular, we're going to be upscaling Haku and, shooting that attack at Naruto. Naruto would have flashes of memories hit his head. A lifetime ago where he was fighting against Gray and they were both bickering about random things. It was childhood memories of Natsu. And with Naruto being stunned, he would simply watch on as Zabuza and Haku would body flicker away. Naruto, at seeing this and walking over towards the ice after snapping out of it, would begin to feel it out as he would smile, thinking that back then, he truly did have great friends. Before looking at the ragtag group that he currently now is with and smiling, hoping that with these guys, he can make just as many good memories. This, however, is when everything would be interrupted as Sasuke would say, "What are you smiling at, you dope? You let him get away!" To which Naruto would say, "Damn it, Sasuke! You always gotta ruin the moment!" To which Sasuke would be like, "Tch," and Naruto would also be like, "Tch," as we would then see the two boys then having to drag Kakashi, who now completely chakra depleted, would then be taken to Tazuna's home where he would rest up before eventually teaching the entirety of the group tree walking. Oh, and before I forget, I do want to mention Naruto in this timeline still has yet to learn the multi-shadow clone jutsu, because in this timeline he passed, so there was no need for Mizuki to trick him or for that whole situation that we get in the original to happen. And with that being said, we jump cut to what the group does while they wait for Kakashi to heal. During this time, I can see Naruto spending his time training in the forest with Igneal. Igneal telling him what to do, to throw his kicks lower, higher, and ultimately the boy would say, "But the kick's fine! The flames are powering it, so it doesn't matter how I throw them, does it, Igneal?" But at this, Igneal would simply roll his eyes, telling Naruto that one day he's gonna learn why he needs to do these things properly the hard way. And as this would be taking place, and Naruto would continue practicing his Fire Slayer magic, this is when he would catch a whiff of a certain somebody he didn't expect, but a smile would creep on Naruto's face as he would start going overtime, working on his moves even harder, increasing the fire put outage, with Igneal asking him why in the world he needs to show off like this in front of that boy. Doesn't he hate him, Igneal would tease, to which Naruto would say, "I just gotta show him the difference between us," as Naruto eventually tries to do a move that he still hasn't mastered, and he would fail. The dude would hurt himself, falling onto the ground, all the while he would go, "Ah, damn it!" And as Sasuke would be watching, he would chuckle, eventually making himself known to tease Naruto, going, "So Naruto, this is what you've been up to. Simply failing at your fire style jutsus, I see?" As Naruto would look at Sasuke, telling him that he would like to see him do better. In fact, he'd like to see him pull off half of what he can do. Hearing this, however, Sasuke would tell him that the usage of one elemental jutsu doesn't make him the big shot he thinks he is. In fact, it makes him limited. But as Naruto would roll his eyes looking to Sasuke, he would ask him what he knows, with Naruto then hearing a voice in his mind telling him to ask Sasuke to train with him. And as Naruto would hear that, he would say, "What? Why?" With Sasuke being confused at what Naruto was saying, until eventually Igneal would go on to explain why he wants him to train with him. That not only will it be good practice, but the two need to get acquainted with each other, seeing as they're gonna be on the same team for the foreseeable future. And so with Naruto rolling his eyes, he'd whisper under his breath, "Fine," as he would turn towards Sasuke, asking if instead of teasing, he would like to actually join in the training. To which Sasuke, looking at Naruto, would say that he couldn't keep up with him. But after Naruto hears that and gets pissed off about to say something, Igneal would say, "Just let it slide," as Naruto, swallowing his pride, would say, "Maybe I couldn't, but why don't we put that to the test?" Sasuke getting, ready for the training, cracking his neck and knuckles, before telling Naruto that they should work on a little taijutsu sparring. At this, Naruto would get excited, Igneal telling him not to use his flames for this, since all his life, Naruto had been accustomed to using flames to, add a little bit of a propulsion effect to his hands, so his punches land even faster while simultaneously burning you. And the same thing applies to his feet, which pretty much let Naruto run a lot faster and also let him land these really cool looking fiery kicks. He could also even do that with his knees, like his knees and elbows, which is a really sick thing in my opinion. Oh, and he even has like a really cool attack where he like battle rams into you and he lights his freaking head on fire. It's sick. It's kind of like the Ghost Rider. But anyways, point is, after this would happen, the two boys would get into sparring position, and with Naruto knowing that he's not to use his flames in this moment, he would fight Sasuke, losing horribly. Sasuke's taijutsu being way more polished than Naruto, who all this time had been relying on his flames to get him by. But with Sasuke noticing just how much behind him he was lacking in taijutsu when he wasn't using that crutch of his flame jutsu, he would chuckle, telling Naruto that he needs to really work on his taijutsu, explaining that Naruto was still stuck at academy level work, chuckling to himself before asking Naruto jokingly if he would want a couple pointers. To this, Naruto would be about to snap, but Igneo would tell him that he needs them. And Naruto, swallowing his pride once again, would say that he actually would like some pointers, kind of looking away. Sasuke taking this moment to, kind of show off that, oh, I'm better at taijutsu than you and that's why you need me to teach you, would be like, alright, I'll show you how to polish your mediocre taijutsu, with Naruto once again getting the classic anime vein on his head as he thinks, ah, damn it, Sasuke, I'll show ya. But as the training would commence, Naruto would find that Sasuke is actually a bit of a good teacher, seeing as Sasuke had his brother and Fugaku being the ones to train him in his taijutsu usage all those years. He picked up a few pointers in how to actually teach somebody when they were struggling, seeing as he was much closer to the time that he learned taijutsu than they were. So the pointers that Sasuke was able to give and the advice he would give Naruto would be pretty damn good. This would lead Naruto to smiling and thinking that, maybe Sasuke isn't that bad. With the training continuing until eventually it ends, and with that being said, Naruto would thank Sasuke, telling him that anytime that he needs some help with any jutsus or something, come to him, he's your guy. Sasuke, hearing this, would, roll his eyes before flicking his hair out of his face and telling Naruto that there is actually one thing he wants to know, looking away as he asked this. Naruto, staring at Sasuke, seeing this as his chance to finally, show him up and try to be cool, would say, "What is it?" As Sasuke would say, "How are you able to pull off flame jutsus with no hand signs? It's strange, that shouldn't be possible." But Naruto, looking to Sasuke, would then place his hands behind him, holding himself up in the grass as he looks up at the trees and says, Sasuke, I don't actually know how to manipulate chakra. I was just trying to sound cool. The truth is, Sasuke, I have borderline no chakra control, and because of that I gave up on trying to learn it. You remember years ago when I could barely even form a clone, if we could even call it that. As he would then stare at Sasuke, telling him that what he actually uses is something not too dissimilar to chakra, explaining that instead of it, he actually uses magic, and that it's a different element in the air. It's actually all around them. It's so plentiful, he would say. He uses that to form his attacks and create his flames, which is why Naruto doesn't need to wave these crazy hand signs. Naruto with this would chuckle, saying it's kind of lucky. He doesn't have to waste time learning all these weird signs that he had never understood quite what they meant. And Sasuke, hearing this, would be confused, going, "Magic? Really, Naruto? If you didn't want to tell me, you could have just said so." As Naruto would look at him and be like, "Dude, I'm not lying." But Sasuke would just walk off, scoffing under his breath as he says, "Damn Naruto." At this, Naruto would be left there talking with Igneo, who would go on to tell him, "You see, the boy isn't that bad," with Naruto rolling his eyes and being like, "I guess so." At this, he would go on to say, "So that's why you wanted me to polish up my taijutsu, eh? So my kicks can be stronger, my punches can be faster? I get it now. I'll keep working on these taijutsu skills he taught me and implement them in our own training. It'll make me even stronger. Believe it," Naruto would say, as we would then cut to the next day and Kakashi would have finally woken up from his stupor. He would then go on to explain to the kids how it is that chakra tree walking works, and after a lot, and I do mean a lot, of struggling for Naruto, he would eventually end up learning the basics of chakra control, because remember, the dude gave up on it way earlier than canon, meaning that his chakra control would be absolute butt cheeks, but he eventually would get the basics of it down. And with him training just as hard as he would in the original, we would then jump cut to a scene where Naruto would be waking up in a forest to the smell of a familiar person in the area. As Naruto would sit there, he would open his eyes asking what he's doing here, as Haku, fainting to not have ever met him before, would say he's simply collecting some herbs for some medicine, to which Naruto would ask why in the world somebody like him is with Zabuza. Just looking at him, he could tell that those two were so different, and Haku, recognizing that the boy could tell exactly who he was without the mask, would tell him that that's none of his business, reaching behind him as he would create an ice senbon behind his hand. At this, Naruto would tell him to stop, that he doesn't want to fight, he just wants to know. Why? Why be with someone like Zabuza? To which Haku would say he wouldn't understand, saying that Zabuza is the only person who has ever been there for him in his life. So whether Zabuza needs a tool, a slave, or an errand boy, he's gonna be whatever his master needs. Naruto, at hearing this, would get up yelling, "Why? It isn't too late to make something out of yourself. You don't have to be turned into somebody's weapon. You still have time to forge your own path, because if you remain on this, you're gonna die. One of us isn't gonna get to make it home tomorrow, and I think both of us are well aware of that." And Haku, hearing that, says he guesses that's just something that's gonna have to happen. Body flickering away, with Igneo asking Naruto if he really believes he has what it takes in order to take that young boy down. And Naruto would look down at the ground, then in his hands, before saying he doesn't know, going on to explain that fighting him is not a challenge, but if it comes down to more than that, then he just doesn't know if he has what it takes to actually kill someone. And Igneo would nod, telling him that while he understands, sometimes you just have to be able to do that, to protect what's precious to you. And with that question fresh in Naruto's mind, we would then shift to the day of the actual fight, where we would watch Naruto groggily waking up in the bed, noticing that none of his teammates are there, not Sakura, Kakashi, heck, not even Sasuke. And so Naruto, waking up and getting changed, knowing that they definitely left without him, would be about to head out of the house, when suddenly Naruto would then realize that there's two people heading this way, and making his way out the door, he would see two bandits outside, who were just about to kidnap Inari and his mother. So Naruto, taking them down quickly with a fire dragon wing attack, would then rush towards the bridge, where Naruto, arriving, would declare loudly, "Sorry I'm late, guys," before then turning to see that Kakashi was currently locked in blades with Zabuza, and that Sasuke was having multiple senbons thrown in his direction. He would watch as they would pierce through the boy's skin, and Naruto, seeing this, getting pissed that his teammate was getting hurt right now, would breathe in, going, "Fire dragon, roar!" as a massive blaze of fire would rush towards the direction of the dome, shattering 4 of the mirrors, giving Sasuke an opening to try to escape out of. However, Haku, noting that he can't allow this to happen, would throw 2 senbon at the back of the neck of the boy, and as the 2 needles would hit, they would pierce the boy, causing him to fall into an unconscious death-like state. So, with his heart completely stopping beating, he would fall down to the ground, as Naruto, recognizing that his teammate was dead, or so believing so, since he could hear the heartbeat stop, he would get enraged, as we would watch Naruto release an animalistic roar into the heavens that everybody would hear in the area, with him getting the classic fairy tale power of friendship amp. As tears pouring from his face, he would say, "I'll get you for this," before creating a ball of flame in his left and right hand, combining them before launching a massive ball of flames towards the direction of Haku. This would destroy everything, and would even char a bit of Haku, who was hit within the blast zone of the mirrors. And as Naruto would watch on as the body of Haku rolls to the ground, having avoided most of the damage, he would lunge towards the boy, landing a fire dragon claw attack, shattering the mask, as Naruto would now stare at the face of the person who he believes was responsible for the death of his comrade Sasuke, and sending Haku flying once more with an iron dragon fist. He would then walk towards Haku, who now on the ground, coughing blood, would stare into Naruto's eyes, closing them with a smile, with him fully accepting the embrace of death. He lost, and that means that he had failed Zabuza, and Zabuza didn't need a broken tool. So simply staring at Naruto as if to say, just do it already, Naruto would walk closer and closer until suddenly memories of Gray would hit Naruto in one moment, and he would find himself unable to stare at Haku without feeling some sort of semblance of guilt for what he was planning to do. Before Naruto would land a final blow, his fist would unclench, him extending a hand out to Haku, asking him to join them, that it's not too late, and that he doesn't have to continue working with Zabuza. He would look towards them saying that he's about to lose, and Haku doesn't have to join him in that endeavor. But Haku, looking at the hand of Naruto then towards his eyes, would sadly smile at the boy, before in a flash he would appear right in front of Zabuza, having thrown himself in front of the Chidori blast, his body immediately going limp as Kakashi would feel the warm blood oozing from his hand. In this moment, Haku would stare at Naruto with the remaining strength that he has left, simply uttering, "Sorry." And as Naruto would watch on as Haku's body would fall down to the ground, he would feel as though time had practically stopped around him. Both of his knees would hit the ground as he would then look towards the direction of Kakashi, who now was about to land the final blow on Zabuza, and then to Sakura, who would be weeping in front of the body of the now presumably dead Sasuke. In this moment, a ship would arrive, as Gato would step off from it, and Kakashi and Zabuza would stare at each other in the eyes. As this would happen, the man known as Gato would walk over towards Haku's body, kicking it, saying that if he wanted something done right, then he guessed he would just have to do it himself. Saying something along the lines of, "Right, boys?" as his henchmen would yell out, "Yeah, boss, that's right. We'll take care of these jumps, no problem." And Naruto, watching on still on his knees, would see the way that Haku's body was degraded. This would cause a rage, an unyielding fire to begin welling up in his stomach, as Naruto would feel the need to release it. And in an instant, Naruto, still knees on the ground, would look up, as without even announcing the name of his attack, he would shoot a beam of flames towards the direction of Gato and his men, completely charring them. This would leave every single person hit by the blast in critical condition, and as Zabuza would watch his employer be turned to pretty much ashes, being one of the first ones to be hit by the beam, he would look down before then looking at Kakashi and telling him that he guesses his business here is done. Beginning to walk away before Naruto would say, "Stop. Just where the hell do you think you're going? You better bury Haku, the person who threw their entire life away so that you could live yours. Bury him!" he would cry. "Did he mean nothing to you?" Naruto would say, as Zabuza could feel tears beginning to well up in his face, and he would go on to give the classic, "Your words cut deep, boy." You know, obviously the moment's different, but the impact is still the same, is what I'm trying to get at. But with that being the case, Zabuza would then walk over towards Haku's body, as he would then use a jutsu to dig a hole in the ground and bury the young boy in a nice patch of flowers, surrounded by beautiful, tall, gorgeous trees. Zabuza would say nothing but a few words for the boy, and as he would look towards Kakashi, he and the copy ninja would nod at each other, Zabuza simply nodding his head at Naruto as he would body flicker out of the area. And with that being said, Naruto, once again falling at Haku's grave, would say that he's sorry and that he wished things could have been different. But standing back up and promising to live on, he would wipe the tears from his face, saying that from now on, he's gonna live for the both of them. He's gonna live life to the fullest. Believe it, he would say, as the team would walk off and would make their way to the Hidden Leaf Village. Having successfully completed their mission, we jump cut now to the team inside of Hiruzen's office, with Kakashi debriefing the old man, giving him a rundown of the events that took place today. And as Hiruzen would listen to everything that happened, he would nod, turning to Naruto before thanking him for what had happened, and handling that like a true ninja. After this, the team would then be disbanded, before a few days later once again being called forth, Kakashi informing them of the nature of the Chunin exams, and why exactly it was that other ninjas were there. Because much like in the original canon, Naruto still would have had his run-in with the Sand siblings, and instead of Gaara paying no mind to Naruto, he would have actually ended up taking him as an opponent, somebody whose blood Mother wanted. And with that being the case, we now jump cut to the group of 3 Genins walking inside of the Chunin Tower, ready to take on the next biggest challenge of their lives. As they enter, They would walk around the building noticing that it loops, so with Naruto's keen sense of smell and hearing realizing that they've already walked down this corridor before, he would quickly notice alongside Sasuke that they're clearly stuck in a genjutsu, before snapping out of it, all the while a group of genin would walk towards them as well. These would be Neji, Tenten, and Lee, with the bushy brown boy walking over towards Naruto and going, "So, you're Naruto Uzumaki, the rookie of the year, right? Fight me! I wish to test my skills against another worthy opponent." And so Naruto, looking towards Lee with a bit of a laugh, would say, "Sure thing, I guess I'll fight you. Where do you want to do this?" And they would make their way towards the same area where, they had the original fight as in normal. And with this happening, Naruto would hear the voice of Ignil ringing through his head, telling him to be careful, not to take that boy lightly. But Naruto, simply chuckling at this, would say that he'll be fine, as the two boys would now stare off against each other, and Lee would say, "Very well, I'll begin," rushing Naruto before throwing a low sweep kick, which Naruto would dodge by leaping into the air, followed by Lee propelling himself off the ground much similar to what Natsu does, and sending a kick straight towards the head of Naruto. This would rattle the boy, who was stunned at the speed, strength, and precision that Lee used for the blow, as he would hear Ignio chuckle, telling him that he had warned him. And Naruto, feeling upset by this, would then get serious, as he would begin to keep up with Lee's taijutsu attacks with his own fire-based taijutsu that had recently been improved thanks to Sasuke's pointers. And with Naruto using his keen sense of hearing, smell, and also his eyes to assess what Lee was going to be doing next, he would keep up with the boy, shocked at the fact that he was moving with the same, if not more speed that Haku was when he had faced him on the bridge. And as the battle would progressively get more and more intense, this is when suddenly Might Guy arriving at the scene would put a stop to everything, bowing down to Naruto and saying, "Thanks for sparring with my student, but I did tell him not to use that move, so you two will just have to finish your fight some other day." And with Naruto looking towards him and seeing the resemblance so sharp it's almost scary, he would say, "Sure thing." As eventually after this would take place, we would then watch Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura making their way toward the examination area, where once there, Naruto would hear the voice of Ignil telling him to not underestimate his opponents, before he would then go on to tell Naruto that for the remainder of this test, he's not going to be helping him out in any way. So as Naruto would hear that from Ignil, he would say, "Are you serious? Why?" With Ignil not saying a thing. And so Naruto sitting there being like, "Whatever." He would pretty much just watch on as everybody would stare at him, and at this, Naruto would not like the mean mugging that the opponents were trying to do. So he would get on top of like a weird looking like table thing, and he would yell out, "Come on, if anyone thinks I shouldn't be here, then come and fight me. Prove it to me here and now that you can handle me." And so with Naruto making this crazy declaration, a brawl would break loose. Kind of similar to what happens usually in the Fairy Tail Guild Hall, as everybody just starts throwing punches and kicks, kunais and stuff fly out all over the room, all the while flames would be coming from the center of it all, with a bunch of random ninjas rushing towards Naruto with kunais, blades, sharp things, and whatever, all trying to like take the kid down, but he's literally just destroying each and every single one of them using his unnatural flame attacks. That is, until Ibiki arrives. With his arrival would come everybody instantly stopping, as they would all get serious, and Naruto would definitely get the scolding of his life. The boy being told that one more of those and he will completely lose an opportunity to ever become a Chunin, and after hearing that entire whole speech from Ibiki, they would all start to take the written exam. This would lead to Naruto once again not backing down from taking the exam's final question, and eventually would lead to the group making their way towards the Forest of Death. As they would be making their way from tree to tree, eventually Naruto would say, "Wait!" as the group would stop, asking Naruto what's wrong. He would say, "I gotta use it." And so, running away towards a distant tree, Naruto would start to take his casual leak. However, this is when a gigantic snake would literally start chasing him, Naruto turning around and peeing into the snake's mouth, going, "Ah!" as he wouldn't even be able to like zip up his pants, like his thing is just hanging out, like as he's just running through the forest away from this gigantic snake that, bro, like who wouldn't? This thing is terrifying. So as Naruto, like it's literally, bro, y'all remember a channel called The Richest or something like that? Like they used to have super clickbaity titles, and they would almost always have like these gigantic megalodon fishes and like titanoboas and stuff like that. That's what Naruto's facing up against. So him just running is like the P's like literally still shooting out. He would basically eventually like run so far from the group that it's not even like a joke at this point, with Naruto finally realizing, wait, I can beat this thing. So lunging into the air, Naruto, lighting both of his fists ablaze, would suddenly let out Fire Dragon Wing Attack as he would send a scorching flame towards the direction of the snake, completely scorching its body. After this, Naruto, recognizing that he definitely fled from his team along, would start to kind of like clear up the pee stain that he had left on his pants, buttoning everything back up before rushing towards his team, using flames on the back of his hands to propel himself, kind of similar to what Bakugo does, and using flames on his feet to run even faster. As he would do this alongside his chakra control, Naruto would make it back to the group, and the moment that Naruto arrives, he would see that Sasuke was facing off against some strange looking woman, and as he would pay closer attention, thinking that Sasuke has this, he would realize that he is getting manhandled. None of his attacks are landing, and when they do, they prove to be non-lethal attacks that the force of the blow is completely tanked by Orochimaru. This is when Naruto, deciding that he has to step up, would be about to use a Fire Dragon breath attack, leaping into the air as he would hear the voice of Igneo ringing, telling him that that man is not someone to be taken lightly. Naruto thinking that that's a woman, before then realizing that Igneo just spoke to him. He would think in his mind, I thought you weren't gonna help me, as Naruto mid-air would be mid-sentence going, Fire Dragon! And as the attack would be let go, Orochimaru would kick Sasuke away, before body flickering behind Naruto and monologuing, My, what an interesting use of flame release, before kicking Naruto straight in the back, sending him crashing into the ground. Dirt would cover the boy's face as he would look up to see Orochimaru, who was now licking his lips in this moment, and Naruto, attempting to use a Fire Dragon's talon to kick Orochimaru in the face, would be parried, before Orochimaru would be out of Naruto's line of sight, now appearing next to Sasuke, who, completely caught off guard by the speed of Orochimaru, him now finally taking things seriously, he would bite down on Sasuke's neck, with the young boy falling from the heights of the tree, hitting the ground with a loud thud. As Naruto, watching Sasuke be bit, he would be stunned, yelling out, What the heck is this guy? As the fear and anger that he feels in this moment would both conjoin, and Naruto, lighting both fists ablaze, would create a massive flame attack that would engulf the entirety of the small section of the forest, with Orochimaru dodging it as though it was nothing. Orochimaru once again would appear next to Naruto, clapping, telling him that he had never seen such a use for flame jutsus. And with Naruto hearing this and feeling the breath of Orochimaru go down his neck, he could feel all of the hairs on his body stand up as his back would start to stiffen up, and with Naruto attempting to swing his arm to hit Orochimaru, it would be caught, fiery elbow and all. Orochimaru completely undoing the flames by literally licking them. This would stun Naruto, who would be shocked at what the heck this guy was up to, attempting to push away or do something to let go, but Orochimaru, completely dominating him with his strength, would simply cackle, Naruto trembling even harder, realizing that this guy is just on a different level. If his attacks can't land and he's this much stronger than his base form, then what's Naruto gonna do? At the moment that Naruto would feel true despair, suddenly Naruto's eyes would change color, as that normal blue color would then be replaced with a yellow glow, similar to the eyes that Igneo has, and the shift in the air would occur, Naruto's aura completely changing, as the entire area would begin to be heated up, and trees would start like withering, Sakura feeling her clothes literally start to be burned off, all the while Sasuke would feel that effect as well. Remember that one scene in Fairy Tail where Natsu arrived after the years of training, and Lucy and everybody else had their clothes burned on and stuff? That's what would be taking place via Igneo taking control of Naruto in that moment, and with his aura actually forcing Orochimaru to jump back. If not, he would have been literally burned. Orochimaru would be stunned, realizing that this boy has something much more powerful than just a tailed beast, because the simple aura of this thing was causing damage to him. So, with Orochimaru recognizing that he doesn't have time for this, this, he would pretty much use the substitution jutsu, waving at Naruto before proudly announcing that he can't wait for them to meet again. And as this would happen, Naruto would fall to the ground unconscious, having had used an overwhelming amount of magic to bluff Orochimaru away, because truth be told, it would have destroyed Naruto's body to try to harness Ignneel's power at the moment. So, with Naruto falling unconscious, Sakura would rush to the aid of both Naruto and Sasuke, and with her barely having anything to cover her, she and the two boys would be taken towards a cave, where once there, she would attempt to protect the two, but with the Sound Genin finally arriving much like they do in the original, and Lee stepping up to try to protect her, the scene would be a little funnier than it would be in the original, because with Lee seeing Sakura, kind of a little less covered, this dude would get a nosebleed, going even crazier than even in the original because, to put it lightly, bro's trying to impress her. So with Lee putting on a stellar performance, he would nearly defeat the three Sound Genin, that is, until he would be caught completely off guard. And after this would happen, Sasuke would wake up from his stupor, now completely empowered by the power of the curse mark, as it would influence Sasuke's negative desires, and stepping towards them, he would start doing the same actions he did in the original, snapping one of the members' arms before turning towards another and being about to kill them with a kunai. However, just before this would happen, Naruto, having been awoken by the surge of power, would come face to face with Sasuke, charging up an aura of flames around him as he would tell Sasuke to calm down, that they've already been defeated. However, Sasuke, hearing this, would ask Naruto just who he thinks he is to be giving him orders, as the two would face off and Naruto would tell him that he's his friend. However, before the two boys would even have a chance to properly fight, Sakura would intervene between the two of them, saying that she won't let them fight, and that if they want to, it'll be over her dead body. Hearing that and seeing the action Sakura was taking to prevent this from happening, Naruto would stop as a memory would flood his mind, a red-haired woman who would constantly have stopped him in his previous life from fighting against his best friend, one that he hated to admit really was that. Standing down, Naruto would stare at Sasuke, telling him that they need to just make their way towards the tower with the scrolls. And as Sasuke would stare at Naruto, completely unwilling to back down, this is when Sakura would hug him, saying that he needs to calm down. Sasuke, looking towards her, would simply scoff, power draining out of him as they would make their way towards the Chunin Tower. This is where Sasuke once again would have the power of the curse mark sealed by Kakashi, as we would now jump cut to the 1v1 battles, everything taking place like it does in the original, with really no changes to this timeline, except, obviously the fight between himself and Kiba, because in this timeline, due to Naruto being the rookie of the year, Kiba would actually acknowledge Naruto and low-key be kind of scared of him. So the moment that the match starts, Naruto, remembering that feeling of having the flame aura emanating from his body, he would ignite that same power, however to a much lesser extent. It would only cause the temperature in the area to rise by a few degrees, with Kiba being the one nearest to Naruto feeling it the most. At this, Kiba would tell Akamaru to get ready, the two of them ready to charge up their Fang over Fang attack, as Naruto, with a smile, would charge up a Fire Dragon wing attack, sending a blaze of flames towards Kiba and knocking the boy out immediately. After the battle would be over, Naruto would look up towards the sky, letting out a roar, as the entirety of the arena would take note of Naruto, mainly Gaara, Neji, and Sasuke. And with the battle coming to an end, we would now watch on as the remaining fights would take place, namely Neji versus Hinata, where Naruto, watching the desecration of Hinata take place during the battle, would get pissed. Squeezing the handlebars that are keeping them away, Naruto would start fuming, quite literally. Squeezing on the handle rails tighter and tighter, all the while Kakashi, noticing this, would tell Naruto to not get involved, that if he does, he would be expelled from the Chunin exams. But as Naruto would get angrier, he would think, to hell with the Chunin exams, Hinata's getting hurt out there, jumping down into the stage and saying, hey Neji, before in his mouth formulating a Fire Dragon breath attack, aiming it at the boy and sending flames flying towards his direction. As Neji would watch the flames get closer and closer, he could feel his body tensing up, knowing that the flames were about to make contact. However, at the final second, Might Guy, Kakashi, and Kurenai would dismantle the flames. As Naruto sees this happen, he would watch on in anticipation as to what's to happen to him. And in this moment, Kakashi would be the one to speak up. "Naruto Uzumaki, you are eliminated from the Chunin exams." Naruto, hearing that, would grit his teeth as he would yell out, "What? You're eliminating me for the Chunin exams? Why? Because I tried saving one of our fellow shinobis? He was gonna kill her! You saw that? And I'm supposed to just what? Stand by and watch as one of my precious classmates gets brutally punished while I could do something about it? None of you stepped up, but of course you defend the bully. How could you possibly expect me to sit by and do nothing? Maybe you have the guts to do that, but I don't." And at hearing this, Hiruzen would raise his hand, giving Naruto pretty much like the order of, "Hey, be quiet." Naruto would do exactly that, and then Hiruzen would say that Naruto does have a point. The match was already decided, so even though he did intervene and it is against the rules, for this one occasion, they suppose they'll let it slide. Naruto, hearing this, would have a big smile on his face as he would say, "Thanks, old man," and then stare back towards the direction of everybody who did intervene, telling them that they're all a bunch of freaking cowards, including Kakashi, who at staring at his student would kind of have this look of like, "My bad, y'all," to the rest of the senseis, him making his way towards Naruto and telling him that the next time he has one of those outbursts, he won't deal with the Hokage, but with him, giving Naruto a look of, "You better not mess with me, boy," as Naruto would be like, okay, that's my bad. And so for the next fight that would take place, which would obviously end in tragedy, we would end up seeing the battle between Gaara as well as Rock Lee, with the same outcome that happens in the original, and with Lee falling to the ground, we would pretty much see Naruto yelling over the rails, "Are you kidding me? Becoming a Chunin was so important that you had to left Bushy Brows over there become a cripple? You should have stepped in before you had the chance, but now you're gonna have to stare at your student, probably not even be able to continue being a ninja, and all because this guy over here is a freaking maniac. He should be eliminated from the Chunin exams." Naruto would declare, Hiruzen simply holding up his hand before then saying that unfortunately, there's nothing that says you can't kill during the Chunin exams, so regardless of the actions Gaara took, he will be moving onwards. And Naruto, hearing that, would get pissed, then going on to hear the order of the battles that are going to be taking place, him yelling out in defiance that he wants Gaara, he'll face him, and he'll do it for Bushy Brows. To which Hiruzen, hearing this, will tell Naruto that that's not how it works, but Naruto would say, "Let's make it how it works, fire versus sand, come on, it'll be a spectacle for the ages. And this way, you can even have the Neji kid fight against Sasuke. Wouldn't that be cool? Hyuga versus Uchiha? Come on, who's with me? Let's change the fights. I'll get Gaara." But shortly after saying this, Kakashi would grab Naruto. Hiruzen, thinking about this and realizing that that's actually not such a bad idea, looking towards the other three contestants who are going to have their matches changed and asking them if that's okay by them. Sasuke would stare daggers at Neji, saying it's fine, with Gaara giving the Hokage a deathly glare, saying that he has no problem with it. Blood is blood at the end of the day. So with that being said, we would now partake in the 1 month of training time skip that we usually get. And over the course of this time, obviously because we know Kakashi goes off to train Sasuke, Naruto would be by himself, training alongside Igneel, as the two would mainly focus on Naruto's firepower, increasing the potency of his flames. This training would take place over a week, until eventually, after a long day of training, Naruto would decide to make his way towards a hot spring, trying to go relax. And on his way there, he would spot a white-haired pervy old man trying to creep on the girl's bath. At this, a mischievous smile would appear on the boy's face as he would yell out, "Hey everybody, there's a creepy old man peeping on you from the rooftop." So Jiraiya, hearing this, would be like, "Kid, you blew my cover," running away as some of the females would throw like rocks at him, and Jiraiya would be like, "Come on kid," just turning the corner and disappearing, as Naruto would laugh, thinking to himself that he just did a good deed for the day. As he would enter the bathhouse, enjoy his time there, and once he would be about to leave, this is when suddenly somebody would cover his mouth before dragging him away. This would obviously be Jiraiya, and Naruto, not want to just let something like this happen, would start licking and biting on Jiraiya's hand, causing him to be like, hey, let go, kid. What the heck was that all about? You made me nearly have to run for my life back there, so now I'm gonna teach you a lesson and show you who you're dealing with. You know who you just made fun of? The legendary Sannin Jiraiya. Naruto hearing this would say, never heard of you. What, is that your pervy nickname? To which Jiraiya would do the iconic like falling over anime meme before standing back up and being like, kid, I am a legendary warrior of the leaf. But Naruto, not believing it, would say, prove it to me. How about me and you go at it one-on-one right here, right now? And Jiraiya, looking at Naruto, would say, sure. Alright, I guess we could do that, readying himself thinking that this isn't going to be much of a challenge, starting the entirety of the fight by causing his hair to lunge towards the direction of Naruto. Naruto, however, leaps up into the air and from his mouth shoots a fire dragon roar, causing Jiraiya to be caught off guard as he would narrowly dodge the attack as Naruto would continue the pressure, shooting yet another dragon roar straight to the direction of Jiraiya, telling him that he can do this for days. Jiraiya smugly saying that he knows as his hair would whip onto Naruto's legs and slam him on the ground. Naruto, now on the ground, realizing what Jiraiya just did, would look up as Jiraiya would be standing above him, telling him that that's a whole lot of potency with his flames, but in the face of a legendary Sanin like himself, that means nothing. Naruto would scoff, going, whatever, old man, as he gets back up, telling him that he guesses he is some legendary shinobi. But that doesn't mean he should be peeping around on girls. And Jiraiya would say, don't put it like that. I was just doing research. Yeah, research, young man. As Naruto looks at him and he's like, yeah, what kind of research could you possibly be doing? But suddenly the voice of Igneo would roar in his head, telling Naruto that this man is at around the same level of strength as the one that he fought in the forest. And Naruto, hearing that, would then look to Jiraiya with a different look in his eye, saying, wait, old man, before you go, maybe I was being a bit rude before. You are pretty strong, Naruto would say as Jiraiya would look at him being like, go on. And Naruto would then go on to explain to him that he recently fought against somebody so strong that he thinks he's the only one capable of training him in order to potentially be able to beat somebody like that. Jiraiya would ask what kind of opponent he's talking about, and Naruto, after describing a white-skinned man who shot snakes out of his body and moved like a freaking serpent, would leave Jiraiya with the shocked expression. Since bro, after all, would have been expecting that Naruto would have said a Chunin or a Genin at most. But instead, he ended up hearing the name Orochimaru practically being said without even needing to be mentioned. And knowing that the boy would most likely have another run-in with Orochimaru if he's already had his first, he would think to himself that it is his responsibility. So, telling the kid that he would train him on one condition, he would agree. Naruto asking what that was, with him explaining that the next time he goes off to peep, Naruto's gonna come with him, that he's gonna turn him into a proper man. And Naruto hearing this would be like, are you kidding me? With Igneo chuckling in his mind, and Naruto being like, alright, you're on, old man, I'll show you how a real man peeps. With him and Jiraiya walking off into the distance, Jiraiya then beginning to teach Naruto a bit more about chakra control and the fundamentals of that, eventually teaching Naruto a couple of things. Number one being the summoning jutsu after polishing a couple of things up for Naruto, and number two, the multi-shadow clone jutsu, an ability that Jiraiya thinks Naruto would be extremely good at considering his massive chakra pool. And lucky for Naruto, he actually was pretty decent at it, since working on the tree climbing exercise had already helped Naruto get a more basic grasp of his chakra control, and the multi-shadow clone jutsu being something he learned prior to that would probably lead to him learning it in about a day or two. So with that being the case, Naruto would spend most of his time doing taijutsu, chakra training, and eventually find out that he doesn't have the Nine Tails. To Jiraiya's shock, he'd be like, but you're supposed to be the Nine Tails Jinchuriki. And Naruto would say, nope, but I guess you could say I am a kind of Jinchuriki, as he would look towards Jiraiya with a strange like expression. No. He wouldn't look towards Jiraiya, but Jiraiya would look at him with like a really strange expression, Naruto telling him to just wait, as he would extend his hand out and tell Jiraiya to place his hand on it. At this, Jiraiya would do so, Naruto telling him to close his eyes and concentrate. And after this would happen, Jiraiya would be inside of Naruto's mindscape, a cave of molten lava, as he would stare at a massive dragon in Igneo, who in a sign of respect would bow his head slightly. Jiraiya would nod before being like, what is this? As Naruto would explain that this is Igneo and it's his best friend. Jiraiya hearing this would say that he had no idea there was dragon sage creatures, but Naruto would ask, what's a sage creature? And Igneo would tell Naruto that those are creatures who harness natural energy, a principle kind of similar to magic, but not so much at the same time. As Jiraiya would nod, and at this, Igneo would go on to tell Jiraiya to do a mighty good job training up his student. Jiraiya would nod, saying that he swears he'll do a really great job, and after this, their training would continue, having 2 more days to polish up his skills, with Naruto spending this time working on a brand new technique called the Multi-Shadow Dragon Roar, which is where Naruto would go on to create 20 shadow clones that'll leap up into the air and shoot fire dragon attacks towards the direction of one singular target. This attack, mind you, is devastating, because something like this would already shoot Naruto up into the higher echelons of like high tier attacks. So Naruto already pretty much has tailed beast bomb levels of attack potency. Jiraiya taking note of this on the last final day of training, when Naruto used that attack on one of his shadow clones, Jiraiya would go up to the kid telling him to make sure not to use that attack during the Chunin exams, because if he does, he could literally kill people. Like, it's kind of busted what giving the multi-shadow clone jutsu to characters outside of the Naruto verse does. Like, let's just put it into perspective. Naruto using an attack similar to that pretty much was able to go against Kaguya by creating multiple Rasengans and all that. But now we got Naruto able to create a multitude of shadow clones and shoot these fire attacks, which is actually kind of similar to something Hiruzen did. You guys remember that fight on the rooftop with him and Orochimaru, where the dude creates like 4 shadow clones and he uses like every single release in the series, shooting it against like Orochimaru's like puppets, like the Kages? Dude, that attack was insane. And now that's something that Naruto's able to do, and it doesn't drain him of chakra, because the way that that works is completely different than to how chakra works. He's not using the same energy, meaning that the potency of each blast is literally equal to the original Naruto. So yeah, let's just put that into perspective. Anyways, after this would take place, we would then jump cut to the actual day of the battle, and as Naruto would enter the ring, he would smile looking at Gaara, knowing that whatever happens, he could always just crystallize the sand bastard. So, as soon as the match would begin and the proctor would go, "Hajime," Naruto would smirk, leaping up into the air before shooting a Fire Dragon Slayer breath attack. This attack would be blocked by Gaara's sand, as it would instantly crystallize under the heat and pressure of that. And as Naruto would land back on the ground, the sand would start causing him to sink into it. However, this is when Naruto would proceed to create 10 shadow clones, which would dig him out of the sand, him smirking towards Gaara, who would say, "That's impressive, Fire Boy. However, I would like to see you dodge," as a gigantic wave of sand would be about to cover them all, with Naruto creating 100 clones strong enough to break out of that entirely. And I'm not gonna lie, at this point of the story, Naruto has literally unlocked the multi-shadow clone and does not know how to act. So with the help of his own self, Naruto would proceed to leap up into the air and ask Gaara how he'll handle this, as all of them would shoot like these very, very small like fire breath attacks towards Gaara that are not potent enough to kill him, but would normally knock him out undoubtedly. However, this is when Gaara would use his ultimate sand defense, as it would completely crystallize, turning into hard glass, and Naruto walking over towards it, knowing that this is the last sting of defense for Gaara. He would rip his arm backwards before yelling out, "Fire Dragon, Iron Fist!" punching a hole straight through the glass, shattering it in its entirety, and also punching Gaara square into the outer sides of the ring. This would send his body indented into the wall, as his eyes would roll backwards, and out of nowhere, the transformation of Shukaku would begin. This would signal Orochimaru's gang to start their attack on the village, and with Gaara turning to Shukaku, he would begin running outside of the village walls. Naruto seeing this and taking note that his opponent is trying to run away and they are clearly not done if he still has this much power, he would chase him, and we would get the iconic Naruto versus Gaara fight without the, the intervention of Sasuke being there. So Sasuke doesn't go out and use the curse mark or use the Chidoris as much, and obviously we also don't get that cool scene of Sasuke, pulling up and using the Chidori either, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. Because we're going to be replacing it with an awesome scene of Naruto decimating Shukaku. I mean, seriously, the entirety of Shukaku's body is about to be crystallized by these flames, because as Naruto would get closer and closer to Gaara in the forest, Gaara would extend his arm, shooting sand towards Naruto, which Naruto would smack away, saying to fight him already and to stop running. And as Gaara would stop finally, sand would begin covering his entire body, formulating into a giant kaiju form. Naruto in his mind would ask Igneel if he thinks this is the time to use that attack, and Igneel would nod, to which Naruto, smiling and leaping up into the air, would begin to charge up his Fire Dragon Slayer attack, and in an instant, Naruto would bellow about 20 times, "Fire Dragon, roar!" as a massive beam of fire would collide on Gaara, causing a massive explosion which causes the trees to just be like, boom, like it's kind of like an Omni-Man punch, as like some trees literally go flying. It's like a freaking hurricane's happening, right? And the area would get heated up so much that the sand on the ground would crystallize. Like it literally becomes like glass. So does Shukaku's body, meaning that now Gaara's fully trapped inside of it, unable to break out. And as Naruto would walk closer and closer, coating his fist in flames, not the Iron Dragon Slayer punch, but like punching it, he proceeds to shatter the entirety of the glass, leaving nothing but an unconscious Gaara in its wake. I still rolled back. At this point, Gaara would approach closer and closer, until from the distance he hears Temari scream out, "Wait, don't kill him!" To which Naruto, looking towards her, confused because he wasn't gonna kill him, would then ask why they would think he was. And Temari would say that he acted out of line and she's sorry, apologizing for her little brother. Naruto would say, you need to do more than apologizing. And on top of that, you shouldn't apologize to me, but to Lee. And so Temari, hearing that, would say that he's right, but they'll take their brother and they'll leave. And Gaara, slightly coming to his senses, would ask why he didn't kill him. To which Naruto would say that everyone can change, and everyone deserves a second chance, as a flash of memory would pop up in his head, and he would remember a battle against a certain metal individual, which fairy tale fans would know to be Gajeel, but who's counting? Anyways, with that said, Naruto would now make his way back towards the village, Igneel telling him that he's proud of the progress that he's made recently. Naruto thanking Igneel, as once they would arrive back toward the village, Naruto would see the devastation that had happened and also find out about Hiruzen's death. At this, the young shinobi would shed a few tears, and the next couple of days would be not the best, to put it lightly. But this is when eventually Jiraiya, the legendary Sannin who, did a lot to train Naruto recently, would come to his house knocking and telling Naruto that they need to go, that they've been assigned a very important mission. Naruto would raise an eyebrow at this point. "What, we? I wasn't even called to the Hokage's office," which Jiraiya saying, "Of course you weren't. There is no Hokage in seat right now, and that's who we're gonna go get." And Naruto, hearing that they're about to go find, the person to replace Hiruzen, him thinking, oh, it's probably gonna be a badass, would be like, all right, getting all of his things together as they hit the road. Here is where Jiraiya would go on to explain the history of the legendary Sannin, how he actually knows Orochimaru, and that the person that they're actually retrieving is the third Sannin. Naruto, hearing this, would ask if they're crazy strong too, and Jiraiya would say that they're not just crazy strong, they're wildly strong, going on to explain that there's been a few times he's nearly died, and she was responsible for 2 of those. So Naruto, hearing this, getting super hyped up about what's to come, would be super impatient, so ready to meet this person. And as he would hear stories and tales about Jiraiya's old days as a legendary Sannin, the missions, the war, Naruto would think that that's crazy. He can't believe that all that stuff happened while he was not even born yet. To which Jiraiya would laugh, telling the boy that he's lived through quite a few battles. To which Naruto would respond by saying that he hopes that he lives through as much cool battles as he did. That way, he could have just as many sick stories to tell his kids, grandchildren's, and maybe grand-grandchildren. Jiraiya, hearing this, would say that that's a lofty goal, that grand-grandchildren part, but hey, who knows? Maybe he will be one of the lucky few who gets to live past 30. And with that said, they would continue on with their journey, Naruto working on nothing but his magic, increasing the potency of his flames, all the while also working on manipulating his chakra a little bit more, and learning the base fundamentals of fire style when it comes to actually using chakra. But of course, since it's just a fire style conjured up by chakra, it's not nearly as potent as his flame, so he never ever decides to use those. He simply wants to understand how it is that a ninja actually operates. So with that being the case, We now jump cut to possibly one of the most important events that actually takes place in Naruto, and that is the hotel fight between Naruto, Itachi, and Kisame. And there is one specific interaction that I just can't wait to see actually take place. So with that said, let's jump cut to Naruto being inside of a hotel room as he knows that Jiraiya is out there perving with some skank that he had met. As Naruto would be sitting there controlling the flames in his fingers, conjuring shapes, suddenly Naruto would hear a knock at the door, and it would grow louder and louder until Naruto would finally get out of his bed going, I'm coming, dang, you don't have to knock so hard. At the moment he would open it, he would then stare directly into the eyes of Itachi, and seeing the Sharingan, the black hair, and even the way that the hair was styled, Naruto would think, are you? Before his literal face would be grabbed, literally palmed by Kisame as he would toss him into the wall. Naruto at getting back up would say, what the hell? What was that cheap shot? Kisame holding a blade to Naruto, telling him that he's coming with them. But Naruto slowly getting up and placing his bare hand on Kisame's blade as it would start draining some of his chakra, Naruto would push it away, telling them that if they want to take him, they better be willing to be turned to ashes. At this, Naruto would use the multi-shadow clone jutsu, creating 10 clones, as he would jump in between all of them and they would split in multiple directions. Naruto would think that that would have been good enough for him to escape and get to Jiraiya in time. However, that would not be the case thanks to Itachi's Sharingan. So, Itachi and Kisame chasing after the correct one would then leave the boy to be outside of the hotel, and knowing that he can't exactly be using his destructive magic, seeing as if he does, he would not only risk burning the building, but the damages that would come out of his pocket, he's not even trying to see that bill. And so, leaping up into the air, attempting to control his fire dragon breathing breath, would shoot one straight towards the direction of Kisame, who would swipe it away with his blade, stunning Naruto at the fact that somebody was even capable of doing that. Because keep in mind, Kisame was capable of achieving something that took 3 Jonin ninjas in order to do. Remember, Kakashi, my guy, and Kurenai sensei, which is pretty freaking insane if you think about it. But anyways, that said, Naruto would then start leaping from rooftop to rooftop until suddenly, bang! Bro can't move at all, and it was the doing of Itachi, who would place Naruto under a genjutsu from the start and only now had decided to use it. So with Naruto falling unconscious for a slight second under the effects of this jutsu, Igneal would snap him out of him, roaring from the depths of that cave that he's inside, waking Naruto up as he could see a blade about to slam down upon him. At this moment, hair would get between Naruto and the blade as it would block the attack, and Jiraiya would finally arrive. Noting that they're now going to have to be facing 2 incredibly potent shinobis, Jiraiya would tell Naruto to get on his A game and to not worry about any damages, as he would use the toad mouth jutsu, enveloping all of them within this really strange jutsu that he uses in part 1. So as everybody would look around seeing nothing but the stomach of a toad, they would all realize they're gonna have a crazy fight on their hands. And with Naruto charging up a fire dragon roar once again, ready to shoot it towards their direction, Kisame would cut the flames in half before then turning towards Itachi and asking how they're gonna handle this. Itachi would close his eyes as one of them would turn into that of the Mangekyo Sharingan, and we would watch on as he would shoot black flames towards the direction of the toad. It would melt from the inside, leaving an opening for the 2 ninjas to escape, all the while Sasuke would catch a glimpse of his brother running away. Sasuke yelling out, "Get back here, you coward!" wanting to use his new jutsu in the Chidori on his brother. However, luckily for Sasuke, that actually spared him the embarrassment. Anyways, as Naruto would sit there looking at those black flames, he would wonder what the heck those were, getting closer and closer to them as Jiraiya would tell him not to touch those, that those are the flames of Amaterasu, explaining to Naruto their firepower, all the while Igneal in his mind would even tell Naruto to be careful, that those flames are on a level way stronger than him at the moment. And as Naruto would hear that, he would think that they are not that bad, right? Getting closer in an attempt to actually eat the flames, but as Naruto would pass some of them through his throat, Naruto could feel a feeling he had never felt before. They're burning him. So Naruto, coughing them out, would say, "What the?" realizing that those things, yeah, they're definitely beyond his pay grade at the moment. because trust me, there's absolutely no way that I'm not eventually going to give Naruto like a really cool Amaterasu flame eating moment, which is going to be really similar to him fighting against Zankura, but I digress. Point being, after this would happen, Naruto would ask Jiraiya what they're going to do now, as Sasuke would finally meet the two of them, and Naruto would ask what Sasuke's doing out here. Sasuke would reveal that he was after his older brother, and Naruto, saying that he's already here, so he might as well continue the mission with them, would ask Sasuke to tag along, saying that maybe he could learn a thing or two from this old man, going on to explain that he's pretty damn strong. Sasuke, at looking at Jiraiya and examining, he would say that he doesn't imagine this man to be strong at all, pissing Jiraiya off, who, grabbing Sasuke by the hair, would say, "Learn some damn respect, brat. Just for that, I'm gonna train you till your freaking legs fall off," as Sasuke would now be forcibly dragged to come along with them, and he would be part of the rest of the mission. Jiraiya, as promised, would do so much training on Sasuke that would actually cause the dude to go unconscious eventually. So with that said, the night that Sasuke would be sleeping peacefully at the hotel they would book, Naruto and Jiraiya would spend their time searching the town for any places that Tsunade could be. Eventually making their way towards the final bar, Jiraiya practically giving up hope, when suddenly he would spot Tsunade in the distance, and making his way towards her, he would sit down, Naruto asking if she knows this legendary person. But that's when Jiraiya would go on to explain that Tsunade is actually sitting in front of him. Naruto, realizing that this drunken mess is that legendary warrior he heard so much about, would say that she doesn't look impressive at all. In fact, she looks like a good-for-nothing drunk. At hearing this, Tsunade would smash the table, asking who this no-respect brat belongs to, saying that unless their owner comes quickly, she's gonna teach the boy a lesson. But that's when Jiraiya would go on to explain that he is the son of Minato Namikaze. So as for his parents, they're gone. And at hearing this, she would slightly calm down, feeling bad at the comment she made, asking Jiraiya what he wants. He would then go on to explain why it is he's here, the death of Hiruzen, and how they need a new Kage. And Tsunade would scoff at the position, saying that anybody foolish enough to become a Hokage is deserving of that dumb fate at the end of the day. To which Naruto, hearing this, now feeling it even more personal since Hiruzen just died and his dad died protecting the village, he would say, "What was that, you dirty old hag?" To which Tsunade, now pissed off and able to control herself, would look towards the brat, telling him one more of those and he's dead. But Naruto would tell her that even if she wanted to, she couldn't lay a finger on him. Tsunade, at hearing this, would say that he's insane. And after this declaration would be made, Naruto would say, "Wanna bet?" literally shooting a beam of fire straight at her face point blank, sending her crashing across the bar. It's at this that she would lunge towards Naruto and send a punch that rattles him, because even though he would block it with both of his forearms, mind you, one of them would literally be fractured at this, and the one behind it would be purple. So Naruto would fall backwards and barely manage to weave the hand signs for the multi-shadow clone jutsu. 20 Naruto clones would appear, as all of them simultaneously would use the Fire Dragon Slayer roar. He would think that this would be fine, since if she's such a legendary Sannin, she'll be okay. And at the moment that the flames would get closer and closer and Tsunade would go wide-eyed at the attack potency of this, she would punch at the air, causing a massive wind current to actually repel the flames in different directions. This would burn massive sections of this random village that they would be at, and as Naruto would notice what had just happened and the devastation she just caused inadvertently through his own attack, he would think, "Jiraiya, I gotta go." And running away, Naruto would be being chased by the entirety of the village, being like, "Get back here, you damn brat! You dare burn our village!" As Jiraiya would get closer to Tsunade, telling her that the boy is impressive, isn't he? Tsunade would say that he somewhat is, going on to explain that she hadn't expected something like that from a mere child, with Jiraiya explaining that he doesn't believe Naruto to just be a mere child. He thinks that Naruto's going to be saving the world one day. And Tsunade, hearing that and finally having a little bit of a heart-to-heart moment with Jiraiya, this is when he would speak to her, giving her the offer of going back to the Leaf Village, that they desperately need her, and that in this time of need, it would mean a lot to him if she would return. She would scoff, going, "I don't care what it means to you, you old man," as this is when Jiraiya would tell her that they'll meet her tomorrow for her decision. And so, the very next day, Naruto would come out with a cloak covering every piece of him, seeing as if a villager notices he's there, he's probably gonna get the boot. Anyways though, with that said, they would arrive to actually notice that Tsunade was actually in talks with the Orochimaru. So Naruto, Sasuke, and Jiraiya arriving, seeing as now Sasuke had finally timed some rest, he was actually there as well. Meaning that during the fight that Naruto originally has with Kabuto, that mind you would have already been a stomp considering that crazy OP move that Naruto has, now it's even more so of a stomp. Because I could actually see Sasuke piercing bro with a Chidori, nearly killing him if not for Orochimaru getting away and managing to heal him up at the last second. So yeah, that battle kind of gets over with, and Sasuke seeing that Orochimaru was capable of going toe-to-toe with 2 legendary Sanins would actually not be helping the case of Naruto when bro inevitably decides to run away. Because imagine Naruto's like, come on, stay in the village, you can get strong, but you just saw a dude literally 1v2 people with no arms. Like bro, like how inclined would you be to believe that that's not your best bet? You know what I mean? So yeah, anyways, once they would return back to the village, Sasuke would thank Jiraiya for the pointers that he gave him for training and look to Naruto, telling him that now the next time they fight, things will go a lot differently. But Naruto getting in his face would say, oh yeah? You think you even have a slightest chance to fight me? To which Sasuke, unwilling to back down, would tell him that he knows he could fight him. At this, the two boys would be pulled apart by Jiraiya, and he would tell Naruto to go finally get some rest, that the mission's done with, so not to worry about anything else. With that happening, we would then jump cut to Naruto and Sasuke both making their own ways home with no hospital fight this time, because mind you, Sasuke doesn't end up in the hospital, and instead of feeling super inferior to Naruto, he actually felt as though he was receiving more training than Naruto was, considering the fact that Naruto actually spent most of his time doing like internal like meditation type training. I don't even know how to explain it. Like for Sasuke, he would have looked at Naruto and been like, dude, like what are you up to? And Naruto would have been like, dude, just leave me alone. You know, like he's in there harnessing his flames and stuff. But anyways, I digress. Point being, after this would take place, thanks to, you know, no real fight happening, there would be no real conflict leading anybody to even suspect that Sasuke would be leaving the village, which in my opinion probably means that Sakura never ends up catching Sasuke leaving the village, which means one of two things would happen. Number one, which is probably the most realistic outcome, Sasuke literally leaves the village scot-free and would be way too far for the Genin squad that goes after him to even catch up in the first place. Or two, the guards that most likely would have been attacked by, you know, Sasuke's capturers might survive, maybe, and somehow end up alerting Tsunade, leading to the same search mission. And due to the fact that I'm pretty sure I think we can all agree that that would be the most entertaining outcome of all, I think we're gonna go with that one. So much like in the original, the same squad that gets assembled would once again happen, and this is when we would have Shikamaru say, "Avengers, assemble!" as the squad basically makes their way towards the Sound 4, I believe it was, and then we end up getting the same battles as in the original. Y'all know the ones, and since Naruto has no involvement in those and his only real battle comes against Kimimaro, let's actually cut to that. The battle between Natsu versus Kimimaro would actually be an interesting one, because due to Naruto's firepower, though Kimimaro's bone defense would normally be great against others, it doesn't necessarily hold up too well against flames. So the moment that the battle would start and he would tell Kimimaro to step out of his way, I could see Kimimaro standing before him telling him that as his final mission for Orochimaru, he is going to complete this mission to its fullest, and Naruto is not getting anywhere near the boy. And so, as the two would look at each other, they eventually start scrapping. Naruto leaps towards the direction of Kimimaro, flame fist active, and as he punches, he would hit solid bone. Naruto reeling out, going, damn, what the? As Kimimaro then sends a whip of like his literal spine, sending crashing towards Naruto's face. This would leave like a 3-line gash on it, as he would be sent crashing onto the ground. Kimimaro then following that with the bone jutsu that would cause a bunch of bones to stick out of the ground, leaving them to nearly pierce Naruto if not for his instincts of smelling the bones driving up out of the earth, and also, you know, obviously hearing them. He would narrowly be able to dodge in a very like comedic way, as he would get back up and Igneo would tell him to take this man seriously, that though on the verge of death, he is an exceptional shinobi. So Naruto, knowing that he needs to take this guy seriously, would proceed to smile. before he would say he finally gets the chance to test this out on another opponent, and so would create 12 clones. All of them individually would leap up into the air, Kimimaro aiming his fingers towards them and shooting bones, dispelling a few. However, the 4 that would be left, including Naruto, would then yell out, "Fire Dragon, roar!" as a massive beam of flames would go rushing towards the direction of Kimimaro, Kimimaro being completely caught off guard and attempting to parry it some way somehow. But due to the nature of flames, they would inevitably reach Kimimaro, dealing massive damage to the man, who at this point would practically be a husk of bones. Like, he literally looks like a zombie in this moment. And Naruto, looking towards him to see the damage he had genuinely just done, he'd be shocked. He's like, did I just, as Kimimaro would still alive some freaking way, would aim his hand towards Naruto, beginning to shoot bones, telling him that he won't give up and that for Orochimaru's sake, he will keep him here. However, it's in this moment that as he's about to shoot one more attack, his body just completely fails out on him, and he would die standing up, looking like a super creepy husk. It's here where we would then see Lee arriving, and Naruto looking towards Lee, telling him to help out the others, that he's not sure how their fights are going. And as Lee would nod and run off, we would then zoom into Naruto's back as we then go to like a bird's eye view, and we see Naruto catching up to Sasuke, screaming out, "Sasuke!" At this, Sasuke would turn, telling Naruto that if he's here to try to bring him back, then he might as well turn tail and run, because there's no way that he's gonna stop him from getting stronger. Naruto would ask why in the world he's going through all of this, telling him that his friends are all fighting to bring him back, and some might have even died, with Sasuke just staring at Naruto with a crazed look, saying that they aren't his friends, and neither are they, rushing towards the direction of Naruto and throwing a punch, Naruto catching with his hand lit ablaze, as Sasuke, like keeping his hand inside of the flames, would simply say, "What? That's supposed to burn?" before kicking off of Naruto and weaving the hand signs for a fire style fireball jutsu. At this, Naruto would consume the flames, saying that Sasuke's an idiot, but in the moment that Naruto would be doing so, Sasuke would appear behind him saying, "I'm counting on it," dragging a kunai behind Naruto's back in the shape of an X. As Naruto could feel the pain writhing in his back and falls to his knees, he would say, "Damn it, Sasuke, the hell was that for?" Sasuke turning to Naruto, telling him that he wanted him to understand that they're not fighting as friends, as rivals, they're fighting to the death. So as Naruto would stare at Sasuke, he would tell him that if that's how he wants it, then so be it, beginning to channel all of the firepower that Naruto has within himself, heating the area up significantly, telling Sasuke that if he wants to turn tail and run, this is his only chance. However, Sasuke would smirk at that remark, telling him that he wishes he did that, before then activating both Sharingans in his eyes and telling Naruto to come at him. At this, Naruto would do just that, rushing in with the Fire Dragon Iron Fist, which Sasuke would counter with the Chidori, slamming it into the fist of Naruto, sending both opponents flying back. Naruto shocked that he was genuinely willing to use an attack like that on him, and with Naruto realizing that this truly is a far gone Sasuke, he would have a saddened expression, telling him that he wished things were different. At this, Naruto would lock in, launching multiple attacks at Sasuke. Fire Dragon Claw, followed by another Fire Dragon Fist, which would be parried. Fire Dragon Wing Attack, Sword Horn, Brilliant Flame, as he would push Sasuke back more and more, who now having burn marks on his body and clearly having his arm that he was using to parry these attacks and block would be charred. It's honestly gruesome looking, and as Naruto would continue his onslaught of flame attacks towards Naruto, he would see Sasuke getting pushed back more and more, Sasuke inevitably tapping into the power of the second stage curse mark, wings appearing behind him, his skin changing colors, and the damage that was present before fading. As Naruto would see this happen, he would notice that Sasuke was now charging an Onyx Chidori, and seeing this attack coming towards him, Naruto would prepare himself to counter with a Dragon Slayer secret art, and the moment that Naruto would form it, he would say Crimson Lotus, exploding flame blade, creating two beams of fire in his hand. With the moment he would be about to launch it towards the direction of Sasuke, a memory hitting him. Once more, the scarlet-haired woman would flash in his mind as he would see an image of Natsu and Gray colliding with each other in the final war. Gray using his demon ice magic, Natsu using the power of E and D. And as this memory would flash in his head, and Naruto would realize that in this moment he was about to kill his friend, if not injure him beyond repair, Naruto would cancel out the attack, allowing Sasuke's Onyx Chidori to pierce him in the stomach. At this, Naruto would stare into the eyes of Sasuke with a look of just, why? As he would fall down to his knees, and he would pass out into unconsciousness. Shortly after, as Sasuke would stare down at the body of Naruto, his eyes would shift, believing himself to have truly killed Naruto. And now, with the Mangekyo Sharingan in both eye, Sasuke would leave into the night, Kakashi arriving only minutes later to see that Naruto was in critical condition, and returning him back to the Hidden Leaf Village where he would get immediate care from Tsunade. Naruto would make a full recovery. However, it would have been a lengthy time of recovery, since in this timeline it would have taken Naruto an entire 2 months to recover from that fight, seeing as, Sasuke did kind of try to literally kill him, and the only reason he hadn't died is because he had Igneel inside of him doing everything that he could to keep the boy alive. We zoom in on a hospital room, Naruto coughing profusely as a monitor would be going beep, 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 and it suddenly starts to flatline. At this, Tsunade would say, pass me the syringes, like the classic, the hospital scene, as she pretty much proceeds to clutch up and save the boy Naruto, thanks to not only her efforts, but the efforts of Igneel within Naruto, using the most magic that he could to pretty much make Naruto's body strong enough to survive the operation. This would lead to Naruto having a really gnarly looking scar on his left side, because remember, Igneel's healing factor cannot do the same thing that Kurama's can. I mean, at that point, you're comparing apples to oranges. Since we've never actually seen Igneel even heal him, I don't believe so. That's what we're going to be running with in this timeline. Anyways, once Naruto would actually wake up in the hospital, Naruto would be awoken to the sight of Tsunade, Jiraiya, and even to his surprise, Sakura, who would be sitting down in a chair near Naruto. At this, Naruto would stare at Tsunade and Jiraiya with them asking what happened, and Naruto sitting up through pain going, damn, that hurts. He would go on to tell them that in the moment that he clashed with Sasuke, he just honestly couldn't bring himself to land the final attack, knowing that had that attack actually landed, Sasuke could be dead right now. And at hearing this, Jiraiya would nod, understanding why Naruto would have held back in that moment. Tsunade would say that in that moment, Naruto should have been more worried about his own survival, and not the survival of somebody that literally could have killed him, because had Kakashi arrived even a minute later, Naruto would be dead. But Naruto, continuing to sit back up through gritted teeth, would look towards Tsunade, telling her that even though in that moment he knew that he probably should have landed that attack, he honestly couldn't bring himself to do it. And he would tell them that he's sorry, but he failed the mission, and he failed his teammates. At this, Jiraiya would place his hand on his shoulder, telling him not to sweat it, that there comes a time in every shinobi's life where they have to make a hard decision. He made his, and now he has to live with that. And as Naruto would hear that, this is when Naruto would have a memory hit him, a talk with Igneel. Naruto, during the time that he was unconscious, would have definitely had a very intricate moment with Igneel, because in the moment where the clash was happening, Igneel would have been bellowing to Naruto to do it, to land the attack, that Sasuke could kill him. But Naruto not landing this would then go into full-on unconsciousness, and while that was happening, Naruto was inside of his, mindscape dimension, speaking with Igneel, who would ask Naruto why he didn't just finish him. Naruto with this would tell him that if he believes that it's because Sasuke was just his friend, that's not all there is to it. Igneel would then ask, was it the memories? To which Naruto, looking towards him, would tell him that it's not just that. Igneel cutting him off and telling him that as much as Naruto doesn't want to believe it, Sasuke isn't like Gray. They're not the same. Sasuke in that moment, when he landed that attack, was genuinely trying to kill Naruto. And after everything went dark, Sasuke simply stared down at him with an emotionless face. Naruto, at hearing this, would look down, saying that he knows. He figured that it'd be the case. If he was willing to actually kill him, then he didn't expect him to stop and care for him. But once again, looking back up at Igneo, he would tell him that it's not just because he's his friend or because he has memories or even because that's what Natsu would have done, but it's the choice that he wanted to make. He would rather die before killing someone that he's considered a comrade before. And Igneo, hearing this, would have a look of empathy, confusion, and understanding, as Naruto would go on to tell him that if he had to make that choice 10 times over, he would always make the same one, whether it resulted in his death or his life. He would swear that he would bring Sasuke back to his senses, and that one day, before even becoming Hokage, he swore he would break bread with Sasuke and laugh once again, that the two would train, and that the next time they fought, he would do what was necessary to save his friend. Igneo at this would nod, understanding that that's Naruto's choice, and as much as he would want Naruto to simply end Sasuke, he's just gonna have to agree with what he's doing. Because at the end of the day, Igneo wants to let Naruto be his own person. He just wants to push him along whenever Naruto needs it. So, Igneo, smiling, would tell Naruto that he's proud of him, regardless of what the outcome is. And now we jump cut back to Naruto awakening in the hospital, as Naruto would ask what's gonna happen from here. At this point, Jiraiya would go silent before then telling Naruto that now they're going to be needing to focus on getting Naruto stronger, because as Naruto has now become aware, the Akatsuki are on the move, and with that comes a risk to Naruto being the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, or more accurately put, the Akatsuki thinks he's the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, seeing as the village has never outright said that the Nine-Tails is no longer in the village, Naruto all this time having acted like somewhat of a prop, like a deterrent of sorts. So with Naruto hearing this, he would nod, asking Jiraiya how their training is going to work. Are they going to go off to search for the next Hokage again? To which Jiraiya would laugh, ruffling the boy's hair, telling him that not quite. As after this would take place, Jiraiya would inform Naruto of the 3-year time skip they're going to be going on and everything that he's going to be attempting to teach Naruto. At this, Naruto would then go on to spend the next 3 years training alongside Jiraiya and Igneo, Naruto mastering a plethora of techniques, upping his firepower, and learning every single move and ability that Natsu would have in possession by the time of the Grand Magic Games in Fairy Tail, meaning that the Natsu who was capable of beating Sting and Rogue in a 1-on-2, that's about as strong as this Naruto is. And some of you guys might be like, whoa, doesn't that mean he's already stronger than everybody else? Well, kind of, but let's low-key downskill him a little bit so that we have some sort of interesting fights. But trust me, it won't last for long. We're gonna make him busted. Just wait on it. Anyways though, that said, this being the case, Naruto would have unlocked a strange ability that Igneo would have taught him over that course of time, which is an ability known as Dragon Force, something that Naruto would have forcibly awakened on the tower of, what was it, the Tower of Jalal? Well, I forgot what it is, but basically when he had fought Jalal. Point being, it makes him incredibly potent. And I can't understate how freaking strong this increases. He might as well be tapping into the 8 gates type of a power up, because it genuinely just amps up his every stat without the backlashes of all the other stuff. Well, minus the mana drain obviously, but that's kind of a given. Anyways though, that said, Naruto also would have learned a few Naruto techniques, cleaning up his taijutsu, cleaning up his chakra control, and having actually mastered the Rasengan. Never quite implementing the Big Ball Rasengan, because Naruto never saw a reason why he would need something like that. And most of all, Naruto would improve his stealth techniques, having spent a long time with Jiraiya. That said, this is when we're now going to jump back to the time skip ending with Naruto entering the village. He would walk inside with the cloak, hoodie down, as Naruto would have entered alongside Jiraiya, the Hokage guard saying, "Naruto, is that you?" And Naruto giving a big bright smile. At this, he and Jiraiya would walk off, when eventually Jiraiya would say that he has to go handle some business. So Naruto walking throughout the village, just reminiscing on old times since he hasn't been here in forever, would walk throughout the alleyways and shops and stuff where usually he would get the looks of hatred from the villagers, but today people are looking at him in shock, because in this timeline Naruto would have returned with a longer haircut, and he kind of has it set up the way that Minato does, headband and all. So people staring at him would have been like, Lord Fourth? Seeing as, Naruto has an uncanny resemblance to Minato. That being said though, as Naruto would walk throughout the village, people would be like, Lord Fourth, like walking over to him, realizing that that's Naruto, which is where people would finally start making the connection. Wait, is the Nine-Chilled Jinchuriki the son of Minato Namikaze? And this rumor starts spreading like crazy. People getting a glimpse of him, the blue eyes, the hair, the whiskers is the only thing different, but that's Minato if they've ever seen him. And people would start realizing like, damn, we've been mistreating the son of the Fourth all this time. As Naruto continues walking throughout the village and people would get word that Naruto was there, this is when suddenly Sakura, turning a corner, would say, Naruto! As Naruto, turning back towards her, would smile at her saying, Sakura, how's it been? As the two would have a really cool looking reunion, and we would watch as the two catch up. Sakura was saying, so Naruto, have you noticed anything different about me? And Naruto being like, heck yeah, you grew a whole foot taller. Complimenting her on her hair, since in this timeline I would like Sakura to have long hair, not that weird looking short hair she did to herself. And Naruto would say, I see you grew it back. Sakura like playing with it, being like, yeah, I did, Naruto, thanks for noticing. At this, the two would then, at this Naruto would say, you mind tagging along? I'm gonna go see Lady Tsunade. And Sakura would say, oh, you mean Granny? And she's like, of course. And then, the two make their way towards Tsunade, arriving shortly afterwards. They would then pretty much be introduced. Naruto would, get a couple of compliments from her, and eventually she would ask Naruto just how much stronger he's gotten. Naruto at this would tell her he's gotten a heck of a lot stronger, believe it. Like doing that iconic anime thing where like they'll punch into their hand. And so seeing this, Tsunade is like, well, you're gonna have to show me. As she would then pretty much say that somebody is on their way. And Naruto would ask who that would be, when out of nowhere, Kakashi appearing by the window would shock Naruto. Kakashi sensei, Naruto would cry out, to which Kakashi, looking at Naruto, would be like, yo, with Naruto being like, how's it been? And Kakashi saying that he's been good, asking Tsunade why he's here. Tsunade would say that she's here to test the strength of these two. As Kakashi would be told that in a few hours, he is going to be taking part in the bell test with the newly formed Team 7. Kakashi would nod as he would prepare to leave, going off to, eat or something, or maybe read his Ichi something series, right? But Naruto, taking something out of his pocket, would say, hey, Kakashi, I brought a gift for you. And he would give him that book series, like causing Kakashi to be like, Naruto, you don't know what this means to me. As bro disappears instantly, probably to go goon. And then we would then see Naruto, Sakura, and Kakashi at a nearby training ground a few hours later. At this, Tsunade would tell Naruto to not hold anything back and to show her just how much stronger he's truly gotten. And with that being said, the moment that Kakashi would say begin, Naruto instantly leaping up into the air would go on to weave a couple of hand signs, creating 50 clones simply to show off at this point, as each of them begin charging their flame aura, instantly killing the surrounding trees and causing Tsunade, Jiraiya, and every onlooker, including even Sakura who's on his team, to have to hold out their hands since the flames are literally burning even from a distance. At this point, Naruto would say, hope you're ready, Kakashi, as he would say, fire dragon, scooping both hands in front of his mouth, preparing to shoot literally 50 fire dragon roars at Kakashi, and Kakashi, being stunned by this, would be like, nah, there's no way. One Naruto, a clone of Naruto, then appearing right next to Kakashi and swiping the bells the moment that Kakashi was about to substitute to dodge that attack. However, before he did, obviously he would have grabbed the bells. And with that happening, Kakashi would notice that every attack would stop, as every single clone would start disappearing one by one, and Naruto would land, saying, sneaky, huh? Kakashi acknowledging that Naruto has gotten incredibly good at masking his location, saying that he had no idea where he was and he even had the Sharingan active. Naruto would nod, saying that he could thank Jiraiya for that, with Jiraiya looking to Tsunade and being like, you see how strong I've trained him up? And she's like, oh, shut up, you had nothing to do with that. That's his magic abilities, isn't it? And Jiraiya's like, yeah, but I taught him stealth. So she's like, I guess. After this happens, she would say that she's impressed with Naruto, saying that it's a shame Sakura didn't get to show off, but at the end of the day, Naruto was kind of having friendly fire. and Naruto would apologize to Sakura, saying that because he took her thunder, maybe they can go out for some ramen. He'll pay her back that way. So Sakura, looking at Naruto, would be like, let's go. As we would then watch Naruto and Sakura go on somewhat of a little bit of a cute little ramen date. And with this happening, we would have Sakura making a lot of like suggestive comments to Naruto, because honestly, she really is feeling Naruto. Y'all remember how in the original, like, Sakura looked at Naruto and she's like, whoa, he's changed so much, he's become handsome. But this time it's even more, bro. Bro looks straight up like Minato, them blue eyes are staring right into her soul. She is feeling my guy. And with this happening, Naruto would eventually realize, oh, I see what's going on, realizing that he might have came off the wrong way. So when Sakura would eventually make a suggestion saying that he looks really good, Naruto would look towards her, chuckling before saying that Sasuke probably wouldn't like that when he returns, in a little bit of a joking fashion. As Sakura would go silent, and Naruto would go silent as well. At this, Naruto would look at her, taking her by the hand, telling her that he promises that Sasuke's return to the village is only weeks if not months away, and soon they're gonna have the original Team 7 back. He swears it. Sakura would look at Naruto, saying that he's right, as Naruto would say, and when he does come back, I don't think he'll like knowing that his soon-to-be girlfriend was liking me. And so Sakura, hearing that, would go red, going, in your dreams, I would never like you, Naruto. She's like, I was just complimenting you, being like, oh damn, like she's right, As Naruto and Sakura chuckle, and the two eventually, like they go back to being friends. She's like, I guess I just have a hot friend. That's so stupid. Anyways, point being, that being the case, after this would happen, they would pay and walk off, with Hinata watching from a distance being like, damn, like Naruto has a girlfriend in Sakura? But at this, Naruto's like catching a whiff of Hinata from the distance. He'd be like, hey Hinata, waving towards her with a big old bright smile, going on to say, I'd love to catch up soon, Hinata. Maybe one of these days we can grab some ramen too. And so Hinata, looking at Naruto, would go bright red, being like, Naruto, notice me. All the while Naruto just, walks off with Sakura, making his way home. As Naruto would be dropping her off, this is when out of nowhere Kakashi, arriving, noticing that the two are together, would say, good, we need to go to Lady Tsunade, informing them that they've just been sent on an urgent mission. And with Naruto hearing that, he would body flicker there alongside everybody else, as they would make their way there and be informed of the mission to retrieve the Kazekage of the Sand Village. At this, the team would be formulated like usual, Naruto, Sakura, and Kakashi, and they, making their way there, would eventually arrive at the village, being informed of everything, where Sakura, at finding a very sick Kankuro who had been poisoned, would once again, using her healing stuff that she would have learned via Tsunade, heal the man. However, as this is happening and Naruto and Kakashi would be watching this, questioning on whether he'll be okay, and Sakura is over there like freaking out. She's like, give me space to work. This is when suddenly Lady Chiho, arriving, would go to attack Kakashi. However, Naruto, sensing this, would grab her by both hands, restraining her, asking her what the heck the big idea is, saying that they're just here to help. And Lady Chiho, catching a better glimpse of Kakashi, would then apologize, as they would all realize this was a misunderstanding, and that he was the son of Sakumo Hatake. I think that's his name, Sakumo? I don't know. Point being, she would realize that he's the son, and Kakashi would say he apologizes for whatever his father did, but the sins of the father are not the sins of the son. Lady Chiho would agree, saying that he has a point, as she would apologize once again, saying that she would actually like to go along with them for this mission, going on to explain that she's become, like she cares a lot for the Kazekage, and that she should have been there to help, but instead she was sleeping. At hearing this, the team, looking towards her, would say that maybe it wouldn't be a good idea to have an old lady tag along, but she would say that she's among one of the strongest in the village as it stands. And Naruto, hearing that, looking towards her, would say, alright then, but you better keep up, as this is when they would finally be told more information via Kankuro once he would wake up, and finding out what direction they went in, the team, using their reconnaissance ninja abilities, eventually stumble upon the cave that Gaara would be held in. Naruto, noticing that this is a perfect opportunity to show off more of his talents, would then use the Iron Dragon Fist to smash a hole through the boulders, at the same time creating 10 shadow clones outside to keep watch in case anybody tries to exit. And so, with the team entering and Naruto using his flames to light up the entire area, he would catch a glimpse of Sasori and Deidara, Sasori telling them to get lost unless they want to die. And Naruto in that moment realizing that Gaara was dead on the floor. There was no heartbeat coming from him, Naruto would recognize. So Naruto, at remembering what Jiraiya had told them while they were on their journey, that Gaara has changed a lot, and in fact he's even gone on to become the Kazekage of the Sand, would get pissed. Gaara just started living his own life for himself, and they took that away from him. Naruto, feeling enraged beyond belief, getting that classic fairy tale power of friendship amp, would just say, "Who did this?" However, before they could even answer, Naruto, rushing at Sasori, who was the first to speak up, would send a punch so hard at his puppet shell that he would shatter it, revealing the real red-haired Sasori, with Deidara watching on stunned. At this, Deidara would attempt to use a couple of clay bombs on Naruto. However, due to the fact that he can't use nothing on a much larger scale due to the potential of collapsing the cave in on itself, he would not do any impact on Naruto, or at least little to none, considering that Naruto in this timeline has dragon scale skin, providing excellent defense for him as well as offense. And with this being the case, Naruto, realizing that he would most likely be inhibited by that weakness himself, would then go on to tell the team to exit the cave and to prevent anyone from escaping. Us watching as Kakashi would retrieve the body of Gaara, obviously to bring something back to the Sand Village, and making their way outside. Kakashi would unveil his Sharingan, Sakura, clamping her fists together and cracking them, and Lady Chiyo preparing puppets. At this is when Deidara, recognizing that he can't fight here, would create a clay bird attempting to escape. However, the moment that this would happen, not only would he have to face off against Team 7 and Lady Chiyo, but 10 literal clones of Naruto. So, in case you're wondering, yeah, Deidara does not survive this encounter. It would actually be a horrible massacre if I'm being real. But with that being said, Sasori and Naruto now have a chance to face off. Sasori immediately using his 100 puppet jutsu, which according to the anime supposedly is enough to take down an entire village or country. So Naruto, seeing this, would say that he likes to fight in numbers, as he would go on to create 100 clones within the cave, making it very, very cramped. Us watching as the clones would simultaneously take down all of the puppets one by one, Sasori telling him that he's a fool for coming here and that he was too late, that he will die here. Poisonous gases beginning to leak into the air, Naruto breathing them in, his movements starting to be slowed as countless shadow clones would begin poofing away due to the damage that they're taking in their lung. Naruto, seeing this, would shoot a fire dragon's roar towards the direction of the rest of the remaining clones and Sasori sitting there, chars on his body, would be left to watch as Naruto gets closer and closer to him, walking as his breathing would be a little muffled due to the poisons in his lung. This is when Lady Chiyo, entering and seeing Sasori in such a sorry state, would hold out her hand, asking Naruto if she can have just a few moments with her grandson. Naruto, shocked that that was her grandson, allowing this, as Lady Chiyo would speak with Sasori, finding out a little bit more information about him, and also the information of that bridge mission that they end up going on right after this arc, which obviously turns out to be very useful momentarily, as Lady Chiyo, then taking a kunai, would pierce Sasori, who just allows it, accepting that he lost, and if anyone was going to do it, he would want it to be Chiyo. As Chiyo would exit the cave, feeling the sin of having killed her own grandson, she would look towards the body of Gaara, hoping that the next generation will do better than she did, as she would trade her life for Gaara's like in the original, and Naruto, watching as Gaara would get back up, would have a big smile as a saddened expression would be there as well, seeing as, Lady Chiyo did have to give her life. But as Naruto would look at Gaara and help him up to his feet, Gaara would say, "You came, Naruto. Thank you." Naruto saying that he would have came regardless of whether it was a mission or not, Gaara smiling, thankful to have a friend like him at his side, apologizing for the past, Naruto saying that that's in the past and it doesn't even matter, as the two would then have a little reunion, and Naruto, kind of shoulder bumping Gaara on the chest, would say, "So, I hear you're the Kazekage," going on to say that he can't wait to catch up to him, that one day he'll become Hokage. But Gaara, looking at Naruto, would say that he's the one who needs to do the catching up, as the two, kind of have a little bit more catching up to do, and then we would zoom back into the team arriving back to the Leaf Village, where, having found out the news about the Tenshi Bridge mission, they go over to Tsunade and inform her about the mission they would like to go on, to infiltrate using a Sasori-like clone via Kakashi and to try to take Sasuke back to the village. Tsunade would agree to this mission, and unlike the original timeline, due to Naruto 1 not being the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, but 2, me not really liking Yamato, and there really being no real reason for us to include him this time around, we are going to be having Kakashi go on the mission with them. And so, the entirety of the mission would go by way smoother. Mind you, there would be no Sai in this timeline also. So with the 3-member Team 7 arriving at the Tenshi Bridge and Kakashi masquerading as Sasori, this is when he would be found out by Kabuto, and the match that would ensue between Naruto and Orochimaru would take place once more. Naruto arriving in a blitz of flames, as Orochimaru, seeing Naruto, would say, well, if it isn't Naruto, say hello to that demonic being inside you, would ya? Naruto turning towards Orochimaru and telling him to shut up, that this time Orochimaru wasn't gonna be escaping with his life. Us then having a brief flashback moment where Naruto would have been speaking to Jiraiya in the course of one of their missions. Naruto having taken down the ninjas, however, refusing to give up, they proceeded to literally kamikaze themselves with a chakra attack Naruto had never seen before, dealing some damage to him. Naruto would ask, why? Why did they have to kill themselves? They were already beat. They could have just continued living after this, but Jiraiya, turning towards Naruto, would tell him that he has a lot to learn about the shinobi world. He would ask Naruto what his opinion is on killing other shinobi, and Naruto would tell him that there's no reason someone has to kill someone else, right? If they're beat, they're beat. But Jiraiya would nod, telling Naruto that killing someone doesn't inherently make them evil, going on to tell Naruto stories about Minato, explaining that Minato was one of the most kind-hearted and gentle people he had ever came across. But in times of war, in times of conflict, when killing is necessary, it's not an act of evil, it's an act of necessity. If you truly want to protect something you hold dear, then you will eliminate the threats. And Naruto, hearing that, acknowledging that Jiraiya has a point, and obviously going through more and more missions where Naruto would have been faced with a decision to kill certain shinobis who were in their ways opposing them, Naruto would have had to make those tough choices and ultimately grow duller and duller to the act of killing. Much like Minato, where he will kill you if you pose enough of a threat and you're like a danger, but he's also not just going to go killing willy-nilly whoever, because if the chance exists that somebody could, maybe go on to change or something like that, or pose no threat to him, then there's no reason he should kill. But in Naruto's eyes, Orochimaru, he's among the worst of the worst. So, jumping back into the fight, Naruto using firepower comparable to what Orochimaru would have felt in the forest the first time, Naruto would light the entire area ablaze, Kakashi and Sakura covering themselves as they would leap backwards, knowing that if they get involved in this fight, they would simply hold Naruto back. So watching, they would watch on as Naruto would go on to create 10 shadow clones who all would go on to use the Fire Dragon Breath attack. Orochimaru once again using those big gigantic blocks of metal that he would have used to block the tailed beast bomb, the flame attack melting right through them and getting to Orochimaru, who, having to shed his skin after being completely charred, would be stunned at the power that Naruto was exuding. That was 10 shadow clones, and from what Orochimaru can remember from the entrance exam or Chunin exams, Naruto was capable of at least 100. Recognizing that this is a fight that he is going to lose, he would be on the defensive the entire time, simply waiting for the opportunity that he would have to run towards the base, knowing that if anyone would be capable of taking on Naruto, it would be Sasuke, seeing as in this moment, Orochimaru still has no use of his arms, so this is kind of like a very unfair fight and not at all similar to the one that we get in the original. Naruto is straight curb stomping Orochimaru. This man is running for his life, mind you. And with Naruto recognizing that Orochimaru is trying to escape somewhere, he would actually allow him to do so, noting that this might be the best way to get to Sasuke, and how right would he be, because Orochimaru would lead them directly to him, who, being awoken from his slumber, would ask Orochimaru what's going on. Orochimaru telling him that they've got company, and he needs to handle them quickly. At this, Sasuke would watch as Naruto, Sakura, and Kakashi would land. Sasuke looking at Naruto and chuckling, before asking how it is that he survived, and Naruto telling him that he didn't finish the job quite well. To which Sasuke would then reply by telling him that if he's here to try to bring him back to the leaf, it will only end like last time, but this time, he'll die, and he'll make sure of it. And that goes for Sakura and Kakashi. So unless they wish to die, he suggests they get lost. Naruto, at hearing this, would tell Sasuke that he sure has changed a lot, Sasuke remarking that change is a good thing, before then asking if the only thing that's changed about Naruto would be his hair, leading to Naruto clamping his fists together and saying, "I don't know, I guess you'll just have to see," charging up flames so hot that they would actually cause Sasuke to hold his hand out in it's kind of to keep the flames from his eyes, as he would stare at Naruto, saying that he sees he's grown somewhat stronger, immediately tapping into the power of the Mangekyo, taking Naruto very seriously. And so, Naruto then rushing towards the direction of Sasuke, about to deliver a crazy blow to his stomach, he would have it parried, Sasuke throwing a kick, Naruto blocking it with his own knee before throwing a spinning flaming elbow. At this, Sasuke would dodge it with the hilt of his blade, pushing Naruto back, recognizing that a straight-on fight with Naruto is not the best outcome. So the moment that some distance would be created between the two, Sasuke, using the Susanoo, would have a purple aura envelop him, defending him from the flames and allowing him to attack from a distance. At this, the skeleton that would have been formed around Sasuke would begin to attack at Naruto, tanking each of the blows before then launching a fire dragon wing attack at Sasuke, sending cracks throughout the skeleton that would have been formed around Sasuke and leaving Sasuke to be shocked. In this moment, Sasuke would attempt all that he can in terms of long-ranged attacks to defeat Naruto, using Chidori streams in order to send a lightning beam towards Naruto. However, Naruto, noting that Sasuke's goal is to keep him at bay, he would up his firepower, getting closer and closer to Sasuke, attacks continuing. All the while on the outskirts, Kakashi and Sakura would face Orochimaru, desperate to take the man down, responsible for not only taking their student and friend, but all of the war crimes committed against the Leaf Village. And as Naruto and Sasuke continue their own clash, this is when Naruto would make note of Sasuke's new eyes, saying that those things have made him a heck of a lot stronger. Sasuke remarking that they have, making perfect eye contact with Naruto, trapping him within a Genjutsu for a split second, Igneal immediately snapping Naruto out of it as Naruto would counter the blow that Sasuke would have thrown at him, his sword nearly slicing into him, Naruto having caught it and pushing Sasuke back. As the two would stare each other down, Naruto would ask if it's about time they take things up a notch, immediately tapping into Dragon Force, as 10 clones would appear behind Naruto, asking if he remembers this little number, shooting a beam of flame straight towards the Susanoo, which completely shatters it, leaving Sasuke to have to body flicker out of there, appearing right next to Naruto and attempting to slash right at his back, leaving him completely exposed. However, Naruto would counter it by shattering the blade with his own mouth, literally breaking it with his teeth, Sasuke being shocked. As staring at Naruto, he would think, what the? Fear overtaking him at Naruto, who now standing before him looks like a freaking demon, as Sasuke would think that if that didn't work, then this has to, shooting a burst of Amaterasu flames point blank at Naruto that Naruto narrowly managed to dodge by playing limbo practically. Him looking at those flames, then back at Sasuke, recognizing that those are the same Itachi had used, he would wonder how. Sasuke recognizing that this just might be his weakness, and so once again formulating the Susanoo to keep some distance, pushing it even further fire as the Susanoo itself would start to be armored, he would shoot beams of Amaterasu flames at Naruto, Naruto dodging the most of them until eventually the flames would land. Naruto starting to actually feel the flames have some impact. He would start screaming much like when Naruto was enveloped in Zankro's flames, as Naruto would say, "Ah, damn it, these flames, they're different, I can't eat them," he would say. Igneo telling him that he can and he will, telling him exactly what to do, as Naruto in this moment threw, even though his throat would burn, right? These are Amaterasu flames. Naruto would consume them, eating them instantly. Sasuke watching in horror as Naruto would have completely negated his one win condition that he had thought would work. And as Naruto would get back up, he would look like creepy almost, because half of his flames were now fire in one hand and the other half were Amaterasu. So Sasuke, seeing that not only did he just consume the flames, but clearly bro's about to send the same attack flying towards him, Sasuke's eyes would go wide, Naruto asking if he has more tricks up his sleeve before uttering, "Dragon Slayer Secret Art, Inferno Brilliant Flame Attack!" Mixing both the flames as they spiral black and red flames, completely destroying the Susanoo and leaving Sasuke on the ground burned badly and completely unconscious, as Naruto would walk over towards him, careful to not get caught over by a surprise attack, but recognizing that Sasuke's heartbeat is dropped down to that of an actual unconscious person, and sensing that he was out cold, Naruto grabbing the body of Sasuke would toss him over his back, then turning towards the team, seeing that their fight against Orochimaru was still going on, and Orochimaru recognizing that Sasuke, his trump card, had been defeated, he would reverse summon himself out of there, saying that his time to die is not quite yet. Leaving the area as Naruto would grit his teeth at the thought of Orochimaru escaping, and so the team, now proudly in possession of Sasuke, would return him to Konoha, where Sasuke, waking up in a bed, binds restraining him and his eyes covered as well, Naruto would finally say, "I was beginning to wonder just how long you were going to make me wait, Sasuke." Sasuke just kind of staying silent, recognizing what's happened. He's been captured by the leaf, and now he's being treated like a criminal. Sasuke would be pissed at this, turning to Naruto, where he, can hear the voice coming from, and asking if he at the very least killed Orochimaru. Naruto at this would stay silent, Sasuke scoffing, saying that he's an idiot. He let that bastard get away? Naruto turning towards him, telling him that their goal was to capture him. They completed the mission, but Sasuke, infuriated, would call Naruto stupid, asking him why he had to interfere when he was so close to his goal, telling Naruto everything that he found out about Orochimaru, and how he was not only going to kill the bastard, but put a stop to the entire operation. But thanks to Naruto and the team's actions, finding that bastard will be impossible. Naruto hearing this and recognizing oh damn, I low-key might have screwed up, would just be like, "It's fine, Sasuke. We can get to him later. We'll have plenty of time to find him. And with you knowing where his bases are, there's no..." But Sasuke would cut him off, saying, "Idiot! All that power and none of it translated to your brain? Are you kidding me, Naruto? He's gonna hide. Do you not understand that? Do you really believe he would have shown everything to me? Well, in case you did, let me enlighten you. I don't know all of his hideouts, and there's no way we're gonna find him." Pausing before recognizing that, to make matters worse, Itachi's still out there. He would then look to Naruto, asking him a question. How's he supposed to kill Itachi if he's trapped inside of Konoha? Asking Naruto if he genuinely believes, that being behind prison bars would be better for him than to rid the world of Itachi. Naruto, done hearing Sasuke simply just complain and disrespect him this whole time, even though his whole goal was literally just saving his friend, he would literally look at Sasuke before telling him that if he's so worried about Itachi, that maybe he'll just kill him alone. However, Sasuke screaming, telling him that he can't, that that's his mission, that he can't take that away from him. He would hear as Naruto would get up, slamming the door, leaving Sasuke there to just scream in the cell, with Igneo finally speaking up, telling Naruto that he believes him to be making a mistake, explaining to Naruto that in this occasion, if he doesn't allow Sasuke to do what he has to do, that pain, That revenge-filled drive will never go away. Ignil explaining that he somewhat understands what that's like with acnologia. And Naruto hearing this would just kind of like hit back to the wall, thinking to himself, he knows, but what's he supposed to do? Just free him or something? The moment something like that happens, Sasuke's just gonna escape. So Sasuke would just kind of have these thoughts Naruto would have these thoughts like ringing through his head over the course of the next few days, him beginning to wonder what the right choice would be. Does he let Sasuke go? When will they get him back, he would think. But as Naruto would be doing this on one of his walks, like mewing things over, this is when Naruto would eventually be called for by an Anbu member, telling him that Tsunade has requested him and it's urgent. Naruto would then go on to be informed that Itachi has actually sent for Sasuke, showing Naruto the letter that he would have sent to Sasuke, saying that he knows where to find him. Naruto, knowing that none of them would know where Itachi would actually be, would ask Tsunade what she thinks. On the one hand, they could take down Itachi, somebody who, obviously is a threat to the village and a product of the village itself. Tsunade would say that she knows, saying that as much as she hates it, she believes that letting Sasuke do what he needs to do might just be the best way to truly bring him back to the village. Naruto looking towards her and saying that he actually believes somewhat of the same, saying that if he goes with Sasuke, would they allow him to take the fight to Itachi? And Tsunade looking at Naruto would say that she just doesn't know. Obviously, this has to be some sort of trap. But Naruto would say that him and Sasuke together should more than be enough for Itachi, explaining just how strong Sasuke was in their previous battle, and that with this new infernal style that Naruto has found, he would be more than a match for anything that they are able to dish at him. And Tsunade, hearing this, would look towards Naruto, making him promise to come back, Naruto nodding and saying that he swears it. And so, Naruto making his way towards the jail cell Sasuke was held in, he would open the bindings, telling Sasuke that they're gonna go after Itachi. Sasuke, hearing this, would ask why such a change of heart, and Naruto would tell him about the letter, saying that Itachi had said Sasuke knows how to find him. Sasuke, hearing this, would immediately know where Sasuke has to be, and so the two, preparing themselves, getting everything they need, would arrive at the Uchiha hideout, where upon making it to the gate, Kisame would stop Naruto, smirking as he would tell the boy that only Sasuke will pass. Naruto unveiling his hood and saying that it's good to see him, Shark Man, as Kisame would smile, going, well, if it isn't the flame bearer himself, have you gotten any stronger, boy? Naruto turning towards Kisame, telling him that he's actually been itching for a rematch. Kisame smirking and telling him once again that fire doesn't exactly do too well against water. And immediately starting everything off, Kisame shoots a multitude of wind bullets towards Naruto, as they would be in the shapes of sharks, so clamping down on Naruto, or attempting to. Naruto would watch on as these things would fly towards him, dodging, rushing towards the direction of Kisame, who would then interlock with the Battle of Flames. However, due to Kisame's sharkskin nature, this would heavily affect him, because it was very much so burning bro. This inevitably leads Kisame to decide that he needs to pull out all the stops, and weaving hand signs to create clones to distract Naruto while he fights him. He would watch on as Naruto would create 50 clones, all immediately charging up wing attacks, sending them X-cross shaped flame attacks towards Kisame. However, the moment that they would hit him, they would hit a gigantic block, looking like a domain expansion of water, Naruto finding himself within it, as Kisame smirking, having now fused with Samehada, recognizing Naruto to be an extreme threat who had managed to handle Sasori, would race towards Naruto, slashing at him with his shark claws and beginning to pummel Naruto. Naruto within the water would engulf his flames, attempting to match Kisame. However, this wouldn't do much. That is, until Dragon Force would activate and he would be able to more so hold his own against Kisame. But to be fair, he was having a very hard time with this battle, since after all, it's just a bad matchup for him and the dude is literally like drowning right now. He spent like 7 seconds in there and he has like he has strong lungs, right? So it's not like he's just gonna run out of flames immediately or like not be able to handle this for like at least a minute or two, but it's taxing on him to say the least. So with Naruto recognizing that these like his flames are weak in here, he would then realize that there's one flame that might just like prevail in this battle. And Naruto, tapping into the power of the infernal Amaterasu flames, all of his flames would turn black, Kisame's eyes widening as the flame potency and heat coming off from them wouldn't be impacted at all by the water. Seeing as, remember, they're known as the eternal flames, you can't put them out, remember? So that would technically mean that they would work perfectly against a water matchup, and that's exactly what would happen. Because with one clean fire dragon roar, Kisame's entire body would be engulfed by Amaterasu flames, Kisame literally deciding to create water sharks to consume him because the pain of the flames was just that crazy, and they literally weren't going out with water, so he was dead regardless. As this would happen, Naruto, staring at like the charred remains of Kisame, would then look towards the sky, seeing a gigantic lightning dragon falling down, recognizing that the battle between Sasuke and Itachi must have came to an end. And how right he was, because upon arriving, he would see Itachi on the ground dead, Sasuke drained of energy after that long, tedious fight with his brother, as Naruto, walking over to him, would ask if it's finally done. Sasuke would be confused, just kind of like in shock. Like, what the heck did Itachi mean when he said, "I'm sorry, Sasuke," he would think. But Naruto, completely unaware of what the heck's going on with his friend, he would stare at Sasuke going, "Sasuke, Sasuke," when suddenly a man would appear, orange mask and all, saying that allow him to explain. He would then go on to say that Sasuke is merely confused at the final words of Itachi, and he bets he's itching to know just what they meant. Naruto staring at the man, telling him that unless he disappears in the next 10 seconds, he's gonna get burned to a crisp. But Obito would tell him that he would love to watch him try, and that he's simply here to help Sasuke. At the end of the day, they're both here to help Sasuke, he would say. Walking closer towards him, Naruto telling him that he warned him, throwing a fire dragon iron fist square at the stomach of Obito, his hand going right through it, as Obito would say, "Excuse me, but I've got business to attend to." Having now pierced Naruto right into his chest, as Naruto would feel blood start pouring out, Naruto would say, "Ugh, what? Ugh." And since Obito literally is the perfect, and I mean perfect counter for Naruto, he would literally just watch on as Obito gets closer and closer to Sasuke. At the realization that he was about to lose his friend for a second time to this person who appeared out of nowhere, Naruto's rage would just push him to the end, as half of his face would start changing into that of dragon scales, full on legitimate scales. Flames burning brighter as a wing would appear and half of his body would be transformed into a humanoid-like dragon. Think kind of Kaido. At this, Naruto, staring at the direction of Obito, wounds still like literally pouring blood out, would tell him that he thought he told them to get away, as he would send a fire dragon slayer wing attack towards Obito. Obito simply watching as the flames would get closer until inevitably they hit him, even though Obito had fully went into the Kamui dimension. So Obito, feeling the feeling of these flames literally charring him, because mind you, they're even stronger than Amaterasu flames, Obito would return back to the real world, where his pain tolerance would be helped by the Hashirama cells, but he's just like, "How did you hit me?" Which Naruto, staying silent, would tell him he has more things to worry about, then punching him with the Fire's Dragon Iron Fist straight through, making a hole where Obito had made one for him. Obito staring at Naruto, shocked, like, "This is impossible. There's no way. Are his flames truly hot enough to bypass space, time?" He would think, all the while Naruto's flames would burn brighter and brighter, and eventually they would consume all of Obito. Naruto now would stand over the remains of the masked man, Sasuke fully unconscious at this point because the chakra drain had finally gotten to him, and Naruto simply wondering who that was. Mind you, he had no idea he had just killed the leader of the Akatsuki. He would be stunned wondering just what that jutsu was really. And as Naruto would pick up Sasuke returning him to Konoha, this is where Naruto would give a brief breakdown of everything that had taken place, including the defeat of a masked man with the ability to become intangible. Kakashi, at hearing this, would question how the ability works, having been informed by Naruto, and he would recognize that this man must have been Obito Uchiha. So with the realization now out of the way, and Obito no longer in the rearview mirror of the Akatsuki, this would either lead to two outcomes. Number one, the Akatsuki would be returned back to its original purpose, in which, because of the fact that the Nine Tails doesn't even exist anymore, remember it's been wiped out, and they have no access to get lingering Nine Tails chakra. I mean, that is of course unless they use the Kinkaku twins, there's no real way forward. But there's also just the same, there's also the possibility that Pain straight up just goes to attack the Leaf Village once more, and Jiraiya obviously would still die in this timeline regardless of which one you pick, that Naruto then goes on to pretty much defeat Nagato with this new END power-up, which I'm pretty sure many of you Fairy Tail fans can already recognize what happened. Bro tapped into them space-time flames. Like his freaking flames are hot, to say the least. So yeah, that's pretty much where the story ends, boys. Let me know what you guys thought about this one down below in the comments. Big shout out to Ozma, the person responsible for commissioning this very long and tedious to make What If. And one last quick thing, a couple of videos are going to be dropping soon, namely What If Deku Was Invincible, a video that I know I've already done in the past, but I'm actually doing like a remastered version with a buddy of mine called Plus Ultraman. And I'm also going to be dropping, what was that other video that I had in mind to drop? What if Deku had Tatsumaki's powers? So yeah, be on the lookout for both of those. But with that being said, it has been your boy Xehther, and I am out. Peace.